What's up, man?
Hey man, how's it going, dude? Glad to have you on. I'm always looking for guests. I've got about like 50 people I've talked to come on, and I'm already like super anxious to like.
Yeah.
I'm having this other guy today for just a different spot. Like we're just talking music, but
I'm excited. This is a great studio, man.
thanks, dude. And like I'm pumped about when I get that background behind you done. I think my audio, I just got to play with some connections. Yesterday, like I recorded the video and it was good. We just got to get the lighting all taken care of. So,
Yeah.
which is actually like, I'm going to be able to light this whole room for less than $50. You get a dimmer, and I'm going to, you still use those like bulbs, but just a different fixture. So
Yeah.
I'm going to run it like where I can actually plug it in the wall and use a dimmer with like some heavier bulbs. So I can take like a 150 watt bulb and dim it down.
Yeah.
But I should have that up by next week, so next time we come on, we can do audio and video. That's been like such a hang up, and like I just don't want to match the audio and video again. But again, so like if you watch Joe Rogan's podcast, he'll have like a live on YouTube. So I only watch it on YouTube. I never listen to it, and like everybody else that I know listens to the audio.
I do both.
Yeah, and I mean, I did listen to the audio, but I was doing it on my phone, so I'm just like, well, it's eating my data either way.
Right.
Probably a little less on audio because it's less storage than video. But I noticed that like he might have 160,000 live viewers on YouTube, or let's say 3 weeks after it's uploaded, he's got 1 million views. The audio listens might be 3 million.
Right.
And I'm like, what? Like in my mind, just because I consume so much of the video, even though I'm only probably listening to it most of the time, it's playing in the background. I didn't realize there's that big of a gap on people who listen versus people that don't. People who use, like I haven't built the website yet. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
But people who use his website and his app versus like casting it on their TV and listening to YouTube and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I listen to it because I drive to Little Rock for shows so much that I listen to it in the vehicle on the way to a show. It pumps me up. I like
me too,
getting in that mindset.
Do too. Like I can't tell you how many times I've like drove to Northwest Arkansas or Little Rock or something, and the whole way that's what I'm doing. Like, as soon as I get in the car, it's like, dude, like a couple of days ago, the Golden Snitch, Jeff Nowitzki was on there. It's like or like Rhonda Patrick for that, and you get the notification on your phone. You're like, yes, I can't wait.
Yeah,
and that's like I was telling somebody the other day. It's like Core and I don't have. Well, we haven't had cable in years. Like I've just been streaming on Chromecast and YouTube and Netflix.
That's exactly what I do,
dude. And it's like I like it. Hulu's got the commercials. I don't even really watch that very much. But for like newer stuff, it's good. But I just like that's like something like Joe Rogan's podcast, or I listen to some other podcasts. Like that's where I get commentary on the events, and then I might want to go look them up. But man, even like the news articles that are being pushed to my Facebook are just total garbage.
Yeah, it's all clickbait and ads for something else.
Yeah, and like now, I don't know if you noticed this, but like you know how you've been getting the video ads on Facebook. Now, like if I like for like BJPen.com, for example. They are Team Alpha Male. Like I follow both those pages on Facebook, and I'm about to unfollow them because every time I click a blog, and I get it, you know, I wish my blog had ads on it or whatever.
Right.
But every time I click a blog, it's like in 5 seconds, this ad, you can close it, but you can't close it. Right? It's just like the YouTube video ads and stuff. It's like kind of delays your ability to scroll, or like it'll go off to another page when I'm trying to read about.
The most frustrating thing is I follow UFC on Fox. I love the UFC, and their Facebook page, I don't know if it's because of Fox advertisement deals or what, but when you start watching a video, enough of the video will play that you get sucked in like 2-3 minutes, and then it's got a second ad before you get to the end. And it's so frustrating because it takes you out of the video, and then you're not even paying attention to the video anymore. You just want to never watch UFC on Fox again on Facebook.
Dude, so I don't have all the details on this. I haven't read about it in a couple weeks, but as far as I know, they did not renew the UFC on Fox deal because Disney bought Fox.
Right.
But I heard Joe Rogan talking about this, about how I have UFC Fight Pass. That is
so do
like I pay. Oh, dude, it's so good.
I love it.
Like I would not give people my login, but the UFC and HBO does this now. Like they get to where like if you have someone else's login, and like let's say I'm using your HBO Go login and I'm watching Game of Thrones over here, and you go to watch Game of Thrones, it won't let you.
Really?
Yeah, I'd be like, we see that this is playing somewhere else. Maybe you should turn that off.
Yeah.
And UFC Fight Pass is like sometimes, because I always cast from my phone to the Chrome,
Mhm.
and I have it on my Roku to where I can use the actual app.
Yeah.
But it'll see that it's playing on my phone and like get, I don't know, like the signal of like going to the Chromecast, so it's playing on the Chromecast too, and it's like there's some weird issue where I like have to turn off my router, turn it back on, and it's on the TV, and then they connect up somehow. I haven't really researched it, but
Yeah.
it won't let you play two places in once. And that's like a lot of digital streaming service. I don't think Netflix has that now, but the whole getting your buddy's login thing
Yeah.
might be going by the wayside. Maybe that's why they want to do that net neutrality thing, so they can have a little more control. I mean, you got to think that's got to be some harder technology to do coding and stuff for. Like,
Right.
are you ripping off the system and giving your buddy your login? We're going to know about it. Like, because they got to trace have a mechanism that sees it's streaming on two different IPs.
Right.
So, IP address. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, so what? Where all you been doing stand up at, man? You just been hitting open mics. Have you been getting any bookings? Like people hitting you up yet?
Both. It started with open mics, and me and my buddy Garrison, we went to the Looney Bin because I'd never seen a live stand up show. I'd loved stand up ever since I was a kid, and
dude, me too. I love watching specials. I love that Netflix is doing so much.
I know.
Did you watch that new Chappelle special yet?
I've seen the first one. I haven't seen the second
I haven't
one.
seen it yet.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Yeah.
But like we went, and there was a comedian from Oklahoma. His name's Billy Bazaar, and met him after the show. And I had already had notes on my phone from ideas for bits and jokes that I had, and I was just talking to him about it. I was like, "Yeah, I've been thinking about it," and I wasn't trying to be like a groupie and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm trying to think about doing stand up too." But I was genuinely asking him questions, and he put me in touch with a guy in Little Rock named Paul Hodge, who set me up with an open mic, and that's how I got started. And I've been doing open mics around Little Rock. We went to Dallas and did some.
I saw that, dude. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Have you made it as far down as Houston yet?
No, I haven't made it to Houston yet, but I am going to the Joe Rogan show on the 26th in Houston.
Nice.
So
Dude,
excited.
check this out. So, like, when Corey and I went to Vegas last year, I got to go see two UFCs in the T-Mobile Arena. It was
Yeah.
Michael Johnson versus Justin Gaethje, which was like a barn burner.
Yeah.
We went down to, like, that old part of Vegas where they have, like, the free concerts and stuff all the time. And they were already, like, there's just tons of people down there. And they're like, did you hear about that fight? It was, like, on a TV up here. And it was like they had set a record for, like, most strikes thrown in a round or something.
Yeah.
Most punches thrown in a round. But when we were there, like, I think it was Sunday night, John Paul DeJoria from Patron, the guy that founded Patron and Paul Mitchell Hair Products.
Yeah.
He gave the keynote speech for this, like, conference we were at for martial arts school owners. And the very next day in that same theater, I think we were at the MGM Grand, and it was like the KC Theater or something like that. It's a real popular theater. It's super nice. They have like these weird little like terraces where you can like stand, but it's like a spiral staircase kind of to get up it, I believe. It's like multi-levels. It was a cool place to listen to a keynote.
Yeah.
And the very next day, while we were at the Michael Johnson Justin Gaethje fight, Joe Rogan was doing stand up there, and I'm just like, man, that would be. And it was like his new special or whatever.
Yeah.
I would have, and I think it's the one that just came out on Netflix. But man, I would have loved to have seen that. And it's like we were in the room. It was at the day before.
Yeah.
What were tickets for that?
I got them for Christmas, so I'll have to go back and look.
Best Christmas.
I know.
gift
I was so
ever.
excited. But I mean, Joe Rogan's why I got started into stand up. I heard him because I've been listening to him for years, but him telling his friends not only to start a podcast, but it's like, hey, you're funny. You could be a stand up. And just hearing him tell normal people that, I was like, I can do it too.
What's fascinating to me, I've been turned on to like so many good comedians from watching Joe Rogan's podcast, like Joey Diaz.
Oh my God, I love Joey.
Yeah, dude, I love Joey Diaz. But do you ever watch Fighter and the Kid?
Yes.
So I watch that considerably less, but when things come up, and I love it when like Joey Diaz or somebody's on there. And I like watching it. It's more like I catch it when I can, but I watch about every Joe Rogan, and I like loop back and watch the archive all the time.
Yeah,
I rewatched that Paul Stamets one, the mushroom hat guy.
I've seen that one once, but I haven't been back.
I'm
to
on
watch
my
it through
third
again.
time, dude. It is so good. Like how he's like talking about neurogenesis. Like I believe that if I'm not mistaken, the last Rhonda Patrick episode, she was hitting on neurogenesis. She's talked about it before, but just like rerouting your neural pathways through better diet or whatever, fascinating stuff. But did you see on Fighter and the Kid how Joey Diaz was talking to Brendan Schwab about Brendan Schwab doing his first stand up. Dude, that was such like a touching story.
Yeah.
It's like a 15-minute clip I caught, like, and I was watching it, and but he was just like, I saw you. You came and you watched the stand up and blah blah blah. I was sitting in the audience and I watched you. It was when you were on the Ultimate Fighter season 10. And he just goes on. He's like, I saw you watching, like kind of like what you're saying. Like you got like a look, like you're analyzing, you're breaking it down. I'm the same way. Like that's honestly like I've been wanting to do this podcast for over a year, and what I was trying to do for a while is the guys helping me do my lighting in here. I was like, hey, they did a lot of videos for us for the gym, still do.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I want to start a podcast, blah, blah, blah. I might want to do like one a month, one a week. I don't really know what my frequency is going to be. And it was just going to be like, I was going to get them to come do it like at the gym.
Yeah.
I have 2 offices at the gym. And I was like, man, it's just too hard to do something like that at the gym. It's always come and go traffic 3 times a day.
Right.
And it was going to be expensive. And I'm like, dude, I could just not start it for a while, kind of save some money. I did some private lessons and just save some money here and there. I mean, maybe a stack on all this stuff.
Yeah.
I already had the table, and I've gotten stuff. I probably spent $300 or $400 since I got all my original stuff. But that's been, again, the funnest part is just figuring out how to do all this, how I want to do it, troubleshooting. I mean, it's frustrating at times, like trying to get the right audio because you got to, like I cast, like I'll get like what's on the camera up on the TV and you got to sit there with headphones in the camera because, I mean, things like evolutions of things I may do, I may end up, that camera is like 2 or 3 models down from Joe Rogan's.
Yeah.
Same model line, but it's, for what I'm doing, it's totally sufficient and shoots good image, Canon Vixia. But that is a cheap enough camera. I think it retailed for $400, but I bought it like 40% off from Best Buy. And it came with a 64 gig memory card on Cyber Monday. Yeah. So like right now, I think they're back up to like 3.5 or something, but that's a cheap enough camera. Like the Joe Rogan camera is the Vixia, I think it's G10 or G40. I forget what it's called, but they're $1,000 a piece, and those dudes are running 4 and have this thing called a TriCaster. So like when you see them, like when Red Band was their producer, you see a lot of different shots. You see you'll see like a close up. I was watching an older Joey Diaz, and you see a close up on Joey, and then you see a split screen between Joey and Joe Rogan. Yeah. So like you don't really, Jamie never does that, but basically, if you're talking, Jamie is the guy sitting back there, and he goes, and it goes to your face. Right. So like it cycles the camera. So like I'll always have this shot. I can move that around the room if I'm doing a solo and want to do a video. It's like my history podcast. And but getting a couple other cameras in here and being able to do something like that. The TriCaster's a little expensive. Digital audio recorder is something I'm going to get. But it's cool just like having little evolutions. Like this is the super humble beginnings of, just the whole idea of thinking over a year of how do I want to do this, what I want to talk about, am I going to be able to get guests? And like, it's funny how like everybody that listens to podcasts is like, dude, what a great idea. Can I come be on? I'm like, yes, we have something we can talk about. It's like, you got a niche with comedy. It's like, where else am I going to sit down and talk to a comedian about comedy without like going to an open mic night or whatever? So that's the cool part. Like I had Jesse Weiss. He's a PhD in sociology, and we were going to talk about national parks. He's been like every national park, and he was going to talk about like the reduction of the national parks. We just ended up talking about Star Wars for an hour and 47 minutes. Yeah, I'm like, we can talk about national parks next time, dude. Yeah, no big deal. But it's nice. Like I've got next Friday's guests lined up. I've got, audio ones. Like I usually do like, my buddy Colby will come over through the week, like in the evenings after I get out of the gym early or something. And we just hang out and like watch YouTube anyway and chill. Like we've known each other forever. And now it's like, dude, let's just do that back there and just talk about it. You know? It's like we watch a lot of the same shows, and like we'd come over and be like just BSing about Game of Thrones and stuff. And I'm like, dude, we got to save this for the podcast. We have to record this. Like, just like how many conversations you're having with your buddy, and it's like a super good conversation. Like, I'm like, man, I wish I would have recorded that so I could listen to it later.
Or something funny will happen in a conversation, and the context of the conversation is the only way it's funny. So it's only funny in that moment. You'll never recreate it.
Exactly. So, yeah, like that classic saying, well, I guess you would have had to been there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, I don't know. Like, I always like creating things. That's what I love about jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and MMA is like the creative side of it, how you get to kind of the way you do a jab or a double leg, it's going to be different. Like George, you remember George?
Yeah.
Like right now, for whatever reason, his double leg is sick.
Yeah.
It's never been sick, and it's sick. And like he just, for some reason, like he was looking the best in the whole room the other night.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he just gets something different than the rest of the people here. He like saw it differently, something that was said and explaining it, years of doing it, whatever. He like finally turned a corner, literally, because that's what he's doing. He's like dumping them behind him, making them put like their hands on the mat.
Yeah.
But when he's like a perfect lift, but wasn't really carrying a lot of weight. He like broke him over at the waist.
Mm-hmm.
This is a beauty. I'm like, dude, like, I mean, his brother, I guess, like his girlfriend's brother, they've been together a long time, is like Henry Reyes. You know him?
Mm-mm.
He's a stud collegiate wrestler. And he came in the other night. He's in for the holidays. He's wrestling at a college in Jonesboro right now. It's like I think it's a D3 school.
Yeah.
But around here, it's like we didn't even have wrestling in the state until 2009.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what, you been hanging out with Henry or what? And he's like, no, dude, you said do that and whatever. But it just like made his double different than everybody's. I'm like, man, this the creative process of like, man, he's been doing doubles for 2 or 3 years at least, probably closer to 3+. And it, like, never have they looked that good. Anyway, go
it's
George.
Funny you say that because I never thought of myself as a creative person. And I was always a real analytical person, and that's why I was drawn to engineering. And then once I chose to be a stand-up and realized that not only was I good at it, but I could work hard and get better, and I found that creative process that I never had before, and I love it.
I told somebody this today, like, I had such an urge to do so many things in limited time because, I mean, just like today, just stuff at the gym. I did 2 privates this morning. I've got a couple privates this evening. I got a guy out there right now. One of my boxers, Tim, is working for me out in the yard. I'm doing a private lesson with him. He's been boxing like crazy. I think he's had 5 fights in the last 6 weeks or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. He had 2 weeks in a row, had a week off, then fought, I think, another 2 weeks in a row, or had like week off, week on, week off, week on, and then had a couple weeks off and fought again. I'm just like, dang, dude.
Man.
But he's super active, and he's on Christmas break right now, and like lives over in Dardanelle, like closer to like Danville area, like out in the middle of nowhere. And he's just like, I'm like, dude, come rake my gravel in my driveway and I'll do a lesson with you. And he's like, yes. And man, he's the best boxer I've got. Like, went from like 230 or something down to 165.
Wow.
In the last like year plus. And went from like really didn't have anything, you know, like that was me, like growing up. Like I never found anything to level me out. You're saying like, yeah, I went to engineering, and I dropped out of college because I didn't know what I wanted to do the first time for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And went back and then started making 3.5s and made a 4 on my graduate degree, a 4.0. But like I was like a C average student in high school, had no idea what I wanted to do. Played football, got into playing music, still into playing music, but I never found like that thing that's like, man, that's super easy for me. But like being analytical and like having a logical list making, I'm always like trying to order operations things. That's why I like doing martial arts. But I got into martial arts after high school. Yeah. And it just like took over. And it's crazy how much that, and even just what little bit I've been doing the podcast, and I'm teaching a class at Morrilton next semester, history class, how much that's just all leveling me out. All right. Just like, because before I would try and get like everything out in a blog post, which I have to pass on to my web guy, which he may or may not post when I want it to be posted. Right. And it's just like, like I had a seminar I taught a few months ago in Northwest Arkansas, and I had 2 blogs I got to him. Like I'll get in blogs for like 3 months at a time. And I'm like, hey, I need these posted so we can share them and get them out. And man, I just go on about my day. It's like, I wrote the blog, I sent you the thing, I pay you monthly, a lot of money, several $100s. Get this up for me. And then he schedules it to share to my page, and I just like forgot about it. And then like I look like the week of the seminar and nothing's been posted, and I'm like, dude.
Wow.
So like with these, I can upload these and post them myself. I'm building my podcast site on Squarespace right now.
Yeah.
So versus having it outsourced, we have 4 websites. So I'm trying to get those downsized a little bit and get them where I can actually make my own blog posts. But man, like we've been going 20 minutes. If we go an hour and a half, we go 2 hours, we go 3 hours, it doesn't matter, because that's like the amount of time it takes me to write a blog, and then I can't even upload it.
Yeah.
You know, like that's been something like I've been on the grind learning Photoshop. I should have done it so much sooner, but learning how to do these types of things, that way I don't have to outsource them. And it's not like this is the most minimalistic time. Like I'm going to hit stop. And I can go up here to share and put it directly on iTunes.
Yeah.
It's like I'm getting down. So like the other night I didn't do it, and then I had to go back and listen to where I thought it was. But I like somebody says something super outlandish that I might need to edit out, which has happened at least once. I'm like 4722. And that's not a distraction, but it's just like, that's why like Joe Rogan has had Brian Redband or Young Jamie. That's what, other than hitting the button, changing the angles, they're doing that and making notes of, we talked about this here. Like you have to edit all that in after the fact. Yeah. And like I'm figuring out too, like on the camera signal or on the TV signal going to the mixer, there's a way I can record that audio, and there's a way that I can just get it in our earphones but not record it. So I'm figuring that out. So that's a cool part too, is like, so for like YouTube copyrights. Right. And then this, what you're editing in after the fact. And that's another cool part about doing it, is just figuring that stuff out. Like, but man, back on that, the comedy thing, listen to Joe Rogan talk about the process. That's exactly how I do my jiu-jitsu, bro.
Dude, that's how I explain it to people. When people ask me about stand-up, I tell them it's verbal jiu-jitsu. It's the same grind. It's the same work ethic. It's the same creativity. And it's the same long process where, like...
refinement.
Right. And, like, if you consider somebody like Joey Diaz, Joe Rogan, Brian Callen, a black belt, then I'm a white belt. And so I'm doing white belt things. I'm learning fundamentals. I'm learning the basics. I'm learning how to put the mic stand down. I'm learning how to talk to a crowd, how to be comfortable on stage.
Man, the most fascinating part of the whole process to me of stand-up comedy, not being a comedian at all, or really having any, like, it's not that I wouldn't, like in 10 years I may want to do something like that. I don't know. Right. But that's like with Brendan Schwab. Why I'm fascinated is because apparently I haven't been able to see any of his or hear any of his stuff, but apparently he's good. Yeah. Like he did this story night, and like when Joey Diaz is talking about that, like teared me up a little bit. Like, cause like, he's like, man, you just told such a good story, man. And it's like, Joey Diaz is a storyteller. Right. So like if that dude's telling you told a good story and he thought you were going to come up and do a bit, but you really knocked it out of the park. And it's like, and like he was talking about how critical he was going to be of him. He's like, you know, what you're doing in the stand-up where you're a fighter. Yeah. You know, and it's like, yeah, I get that. And like, I think if you have that humble approach, but the most fascinating part is like how he's like, you got to be writing, you got to be writing, you got to be writing. And like, Joe's like, okay, I write it down. And this is how I do on my jiu-jitsu. I write everything down. Then I digitize it. Then I'll take it from like the rough into a Word document or an Excel sheet, just depending on what the project is. And then I'll refine it from there. And then it's like, if let's say I'm doing something for our member site, like filming videos or the YouTube, I've already had 2 processes of refinement. So when it comes time to film, I've already been through that. Right. You know, so like, and it kind of seems like just listening to them talk, like that's the way a lot of the stand-ups have like the writing process and grind down, is they just are always writing, always revising their material. And just like when I do half guard, like we're doing half guard right now, and it's going to be probably a few more months before that comes up intensely, like several months. And when it comes up again, like I'll go back to those notes again and be like, oh, this gets refined even more. Right. And then there's new stuff that's come up, and it's a fascinating process. It's the creative process.
Yeah. I love it. My writing process is very similar to what you just described. It starts with a notepad. I write an idea down. I type it out on a computer, and I'm editing it in my mind. Then I go on stage, and I'm thinking I'm going to say it verbatim. I have it verbatim memorized, but when you're on stage, you just feel it out, and depending on what the audience is doing. And then I audio record that as soon as I get off stage and I get home. Well, I usually do shows far away from Russellville, so I'll have a drive home. On the drive, I'm thinking about how it went.
Yeah.
I get home. First thing I do, I put the audio on my computer, listen to it.
What
and
are
take
you using
notes.
to record?
My phone.
Just your phone?
My iPhone.
Yeah. You know, I have one, and I want to get a way nicer one. And there's so many options, but the digital audio recorder, I have one I used like when I was in school.
Yeah.
Like, taking college classes, but it'll record like up to 12 hours of really clean audio.
Yeah.
But I can use that for what I'm doing in here, but it's just not like this device is like at the time I bought it, man, maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe not that long, maybe 8 years ago. It was like a $40 or $50 device, and it was like the biggest memory on those you could get at the time.
Yeah.
I tell people the first flash drive I bought was 512 megabytes. It was like $40 when I started school. Now it's like you get like a 70 or whatever gig or 64 gig, and it's like $10 or some shit.
Yeah.
But like I want to get one of those. Zoom makes some really nice digital audio recorders. To like, why I was asking that is I didn't know if you're upload like some people. And I guess it depends on like the venue if they're trying to do stuff with your performance or you have to sign. I don't know how that works really, but you could quite literally have like it's a sound guy or whoever jack your MP3 recorder into their soundboard and get super clean audio, kind of like what I'm doing in here. And then you could take that bit and it's like if you kill it one night and upload that to your iTunes or your YouTube or whatever.
Huh. I'd like to talk to him about that. My thing is that I've only released one of my bits or one of my jokes online because everything, one, I'm so new, but everything is, I'm always working on it. So I could kill it one night with that bit. And then 3 weeks later, I think of a tag and now it's not the same thing anymore and it's better. And so I don't want the old one released. I want the new one released.
Yeah. Isn't that, yeah. You know what? Like bands live versus not live. That's why I like stand-up special that's in front of a live audience versus like you can even a studio audience. I feel like is a little different. To where it's like, no, we're just recording here. Joe Rogan's doing this night at the theater, like I was talking about, and we're recording that for Netflix special or whatever. He's in Colorado doing it. I think it's where his last special was recorded. Yeah. But it's fascinating to me how he can just have a good night or a bad night, right? And like I've seen comedians live where it's like Mike Birbiglia would be an example. Like I've seen him absolutely kill it and then be like a little drier. I've watched like almost all of his stand-ups that all I could get my hands on, but like enough different specials or like a spin-off special where he's telling some of the same bits or like watching him on YouTube and it's like, yeah, he didn't really kill it as much there. But I noticed bands when they release an album, like Widespread Panic's my favorite band of all time right now. Since John Frusciante's no longer playing guitar for the Chili Peppers since 2009. So they're my favorite band, but their albums are really, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're good.
Yeah.
Some of their songs are awesome on their albums, but nothing compares to their live performance. Like, I've heard that about the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
I saw Roger Waters from Pink Floyd twice in 2017. Dude, like that was better to me than any rendition I've ever seen on YouTube or anything of Pink Floyd with David Gilmour and Roger Waters.
Yeah.
It blew me away. And then, like, that's another thing. Like, I know that some concerts don't want you to record, and I'm sure, like, you doing stand-up bits, you feel the same way.
Right.
But, like, I was looking, and I'm going to start trying to do this a little bit like a DSLR or something if I can get them in, but this guy I go with, he records periodically like one song a show and puts them on his YouTube. And it's like he has a little DSLR, it looks like a digital camera, which is usually pretty cool about coming. But like the song Dogs by Roger Waters on YouTube, I'm talking like from Up in the Nosebleeds shitty iPhone version.
Yeah.
It has like 100,000 views on YouTube. And I'm just like, why didn't I record Dogs?
Right.
While I was there,
right.
But that's like something that, and well, like, I kind of ethically have not like an issue with it, but like I get why they don't want you to do it.
Yeah.
And I also like, man, I think that the whole Spotify thing, I have Spotify and I pay for it. And I actually, like, I've heard enough musicians talk about it now that I feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
They get paid like 0.0000009 cents per listen. That's why bands like Tool are like, no, F you, we're not putting our stuff on Spotify. Led Zeppelin wasn't on Spotify for like the first year I had it, and then they finally put all their stuff on. I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
But it's just a selfish thing. It's like that doesn't do anything for them, and they don't need it.
Yeah.
I want to say that the Beatles aren't on Spotify, or they weren't. They may be.
They
now.
are now, because I listen to the Beatles on Spotify. I love Spotify.
Yeah, me too. And like when I first got on the paid service for the gym, so we listened to it while we got classes going on, make playlists and whatnot, because we were on Pandora before that. And, you know, Pandora gets commercials. It's hard to moderate what comes on. Like, we'd be listening to, like, Ray Against Machine Radio and, like, had thumbs up some other stuff. And, like, it, like, lumps it into the same genre as Rage. And next thing you know, you're listening to an acoustic song. Yeah. Like, and it's like you're in the middle of, like, Fight Train.
Yeah, while you're trying to choke somebody out, Taylor Swift comes on or something.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, somebody that's, like, really big right now that I'm really, like, kind of a dick about, tired of hearing about it, but Demi Lovato, like every time I turn on my Facebook, it's like, do you know Demi Lovato does jiu-jitsu? She's a blue belt now. Did you know about it? Like every article everywhere, it's either her or Mackenzie Dern, and I'm like, yes, I know. I know. But she sang the national anthem at the Mayweather McGregor fight, and then she has this little hit on the radio, and all the girls at the gym are like, yeah, I don't even remember how it goes or anything, but I'm not really much of a pop hits type of a guy, but I believe Cora is, and I know a lot of people at the gym want to hear that hot song that's on the radio while they're doing fitness kickboxing.
Yeah.
But I'm not really into Demi Lovato in any sense of the word. And like I would be, I'm just like the celebrities doing jiu-jitsu thing. It's cool, like it's good for the art, but like, why do we have to hear about her doing it so much? I'm like, can we just go back to hearing about how Ashton Kutcher's not a purple belt? Like, you know, because everybody's talking shit about Ashton Kutcher's purple belt for a while. But, and then before that, it was like, they can't get Paul Walker a post-humanist black belt. That's bullshit. You know, I get it. But for whatever reason, I think it's because she's an attractive female pop singer. Like, they won't shut up about it. And, but it is spreading awareness. Like, I want tons of people to know about jiu-jitsu, and there's a lot of talk about jiu-jitsu in the Olympics over the last few years. I personally don't think it's going to happen. I think there's got to be a lot of refinement in the sport before that can happen. And,
why do you think that?
Well, like I'm looking at the trajectory of like Olympic judo and just the Olympics and how things become sports through the IOC in general. Yeah. And a few things. So in 68, ironically, maybe it was 64. Okay, I think 68 was the first year judo was an official game, but at 64 there was a demo game, and there was also sambo, and all those sambo people competed in judo and did well under the judo rule set. But there was also sambo as like a demonstration, right? And all those people ended up entering the judo game, which is like a summer game, I believe, in 64. So then judo becomes an Olympic game 4 years later, and this is after years. Like the guy that invented judo was an internationalist. Like he wanted, like he had all of his top black belts like take it everywhere. That's how like judo went, or Japanese jiu-jitsu, however you want to look at it. This is a reinvention of Japanese jiu-jitsu. Went from Japan with this one guy, Maeda, through Europe. I want to say he did some prize fights in Cuba. He was one of the first people to teach in North America. His teacher, the guy that he did demos with, was the guy that taught Roosevelt. And Teddy Roosevelt, who earned his brown, but I think he earned his third brown. It's like goes brown 3-2-1, and then black showed on. But then this guy ends up in 1911, I believe it was. So 1907, TR was getting all this pressure domestically about Japanese immigrants because everybody in America is racist. Yeah, I'm just kidding. That's a hasty generalization. But at the time, they were like, we don't want any more Asian immigration on the West Coast. So they made this thing called the Gentleman's Agreement, which was basically like, hey, we're not going to put any like harsh sanctions out on you, but I need you to agree with me, Mr. Emperor of Japan, or whoever was making the shot, calling the shots, diplomatically speaking, not to send more Japanese people here, which is crazy. But I mean, you got to think from then to take like Takai. George Takai was in a concentration camp in Arkansas when he was a little boy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I want to say it was Jerome or Rower. Those are the two places. Like when we went into World War II against Japan, they opened up Japanese internment camps.
I knew that, but I didn't know.
Yeah. Ironically, George Takai was, Anyway, I wonder if that was the summer camp he was talking about. Oh, that was wrong.
That's funny.
Yeah, he's been in the news a little bit lately.
Yeah.
But so this guy, Maeda, ends up immigrating to Brazil. Mm-hmm. And teaching these people named the Gracies. And that's a fascinating thing. There's all Portuguese and Brazilian primary sources, for the most part, and some Japanese, a book called Choque, Choque. You can get it on Amazon. It's like a 2-parter and super thick. But it talks about all the lineages in Brazil that learned from the same guy outside of the Gracies, like a side of the history no one knows. It's like he wasn't just teaching them; they were just in the class.
Yeah,
and then they reinvented it as BJJ.
Yeah,
but the whole Olympic trajectory side of it was it had like that guy was in Brazil proliferating judo, but he, from what I understand, was kind of a black sheep of the judo community because he would like do prize fights and stuff, and they're like, we are all about preserving the samurai spirit, honor, discipline, integrity.
Yeah.
You know, so like Bushido values and codes of ethics and honor and kill yourself with your sword type stuff. Yeah. And I'll cut your head off after you do that to keep it honorable. That's crazy. Dude, seppuku, it's like, let's say I was going to commit seppuku. Like, I've shamed my family, so I'm going to commit suicide out in front of the town square or whatever, wherever you do it. Be like, Bear, after I stab myself in the belly with the short sword, I need you to cut my head off. Will you do that for me, please?
I mean, I guess if that's really what you need.
Will bring honor to my family.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, fascinating that like, I mean, it would always be like you get like your bro to do it.
Yeah.
Like, unless it's, and that's what they say that would bring about an honorable death. But, and you couldn't always get your bro to do it. Sometimes like you were committing seppuku. Most of the time you committed seppuku because you committed some dishonorable act.
Right.
And it's like you get your bro, or maybe it's even the, like they did a scene like this in Last Samurai. Mm-hmm. It's like those guys were kind of bros. It's like the dude that was training the Tom Cruise side of the army versus the samurai bandits or whatever you want to call them. It's like those two dudes knew each other. You see that scene where the guy's like in the military outfit and he's like got all the samurai standing around him. And he stabs himself and then they cut his head off. It's like, so sometimes it could be, I guess, like enemy forces or your opposition on the battlefield. But fascinating. But here's the thing. So you already have wrestling in the Olympics.
Right.
And you have Greco-Roman wrestling. So you have freestyle, you have Greco. Different rule sets. Like Greco's a lot like judo. So like why I could see BJJ being a game is because it's a lot like freestyle wrestling. It's not the same. Mm-hmm. It's similar. BJJ is the only like fully comprehensive rule set, but even in like the IBJJF, they've made all these weird rules, I think, to make it more sports centric. But like judo used to be a lot like you could say freestyle. Mm-hmm. And then over the years from like the 60s, they would be like, okay, I can't touch the legs. No touching the legs. That looks too much like wrestling. We want to keep both of them spectator friendly while making them two different things.
Okay.
So then it was you can't touch below the belt. You can't drop your knee on the mat. There's another rule. You cannot throw someone while they're in a submission. So like if I put you in like a Kimura type hold,
Mighty Mouse is out.
Yeah, he's out. Dude. He's out. Well, I guess that would be legal. Okay. Because it's like he lifted him up, and I mean, I don't know how they would interpret that because he was kind of in the armbar really before he hit the mat.
Yeah.
But I think what they're saying is like, I could like if you had my collar, I could reach under your gi and grab your sleeve and like straighten your arm out and like wing it out kind of weird in a bent or a straight position, armbar or shoulder lock, and then you essentially have to do a roll out of that. There's some like shoulder throw, like Sayanagi variations, where it just like it puts you in an arm or shoulder lock, or there's wrist lock throws. I know you've seen some of those.
Yeah.
You don't see any of that in Olympic judo because it's illegal to throw someone while they're in a submission.
Okay.
It's illegal to grab below the belt. They've made some weird gripping rules, which they just kind of scaled back on. Like, I can't, like, if you grab my collar, I can't strip the grip with one hand. I have to use. Maybe it's I strip it with one. I can't do both. I don't know because I don't really compete in the judo a whole lot because I think it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's a judo rule set called freestyle judo that you can do all of that, but you still can't throw them in, do leg locks. It's like all these weird things that you can do in jiu-jitsu. Like jiu-jitsu is like the MMA of all of these other like freestyle wrestling, folk style wrestling, Greco, Sambo. It's like, yeah, we can do all that.
Yeah.
But then you rarely find people that do all of it. Like Eddie Bravo's like, there's 3 kinds of grapplers in the world. People that pull guard, which is a thing, and you should be good at it, and you should be good at stopping people that do it. There's people that are going to take you down with sick takedowns, maybe judo throws, and there's people going to leg lock you. And he's saying, like, you got to be 2 of those guys to be the best in the world. And I would even argue that, like, dude, in 5 years, I don't even think there will be 3 groups anymore in most schools, at least in the United States. And I think that in places like Southern California and New York, I feel like, I mean, you saw at the ADCC this year, like Gordon Ryan, the Donna Death Squad, those dudes were single-legging everybody and guillotining everybody. I have a 16-year-old kid that's hanging with AJ Agrazam.
Yeah.
Just crazy stuff like that you don't see a whole lot in other sports, but it's interesting how the rule set has gone this weird way on judo, and the main dialogue that I'm picking up on is how they don't want another gi sport that looks like judo, because judo already looks like wrestling.
Yeah.
And we had to change these rules and blah, blah, blah. I think it would be like, well, you got freestyle and Greco, and you got judo and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And there's like a thing right now. It's a summer game. It's called the Newaza game, to where it's like it's a very IBJJF-centric rule set.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like all the ground fighting portion of judo. But they're calling it Newaza, which means mat work techniques.
Yeah.
Really interesting. But anyway, I hope jiu-jitsu makes it in the Olympic Games. It would be great for the sport. Like, I guess Demi Lovato is great for the sport. But I think that's where we got on this. But I don't know if we'll see it or not. There's a lot of people that think we will. Jimmy Pedro, he's one of the Olympic coaches for the U.S. team.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb from Inferno just had lunch with him a while back, and he's who sold me my new mats at the gym. We just got new mats.
Yeah.
He's one of the owners of Fuji Mats, and he was saying that he thought that like Caleb and I would be like in our 50s before jiu-jitsu been an Olympic game. And he's plugged into like some knowledge of the goings on of the Olympics and whatnot, or the IOC or whatever you want to say. But anyway, we'll see. Do you watch that documentary about Olympic doping?
No, Icarus. It's on my watch list. I have not had a chance to watch it yet.
Dude, I'll say this. So when you watch that, go back to director was on Joe Rogan. Did you watch that? Brian Fogel?
Yeah.
Just as good as he tells the whole story. But I watched Icarus twice. I watched it before, and I watched it and like fell asleep because it's the end of the night.
Yeah.
And then like started rewatching it and then didn't get all the way through it. But then like I saw Brian Fogel on Joe Rogan and watched all of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. But then in between that, right around the same time, Jeff Nowitzki and Lance Armstrong were on Joe Rogan in like the 500s or something.
Yeah.
And then Nowitzki just came on again.
Yeah.
So like Icarus, those 2 Nowitzkis and Lance Armstrong podcast, like really, really give you a lot of information on doping and how it's going on. And I mean, that's a topic they talk about all the time, but what do you think is going to happen with John Jones?
I have no idea. I think John Jones may be the first, what we see in MMA, how football is such a popular sport that football players do fucked up things and then they're still allowed to play. Like they gotta like pay some fines, maybe miss a couple games, and we're all just gonna look the other way and pretend like this never happened. Well, MMA is starting.
You didn't beat your wife. There's no domestic abuse here. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and so like MMA is becoming more and more popular, and I think that John Jones is such a stud in the ring. I think he'll be back.
I could agree with that.
Yeah.
It's well, and two, they were saying, and I don't know. I've never taken any performance enhancing drugs that I know of. But they're saying that John Jones, there might be a technicality, it's like you're already opening up that loophole.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like, well, he tested clean 2 times. Nowitzki was saying this, and I'm like, dude, if you don't think John Jones is getting blood transfusions, you're crazy. Like, John Jones is a millionaire. John Jones has the resources to put the right people around him to make sure that he does not fail those drug tests. They tested Holly Holm 9 times, which they just said that. That's how I know. They said on the Nowitzki episode, I think it was like leading up to the Cyborg fight. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, there's been really no allegations about. Dude, I've heard tons of allegations that Holly Holm does performance-enhancing drugs.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the ones I heard and why people are saying she did it online. I'll actually pull it up on my phone while we're talking. But there's a, and it could be a Photoshop picture. I don't know. But there's a picture going around out there that's like Holly Holm PEDs. Like, I'll just Google it and it'll come up. But on that Icarus, if it was Icarus or it was Brian Fogel won, they were like, you cannot win an Olympic gold medal, which I'm going to say you can't win a UFC title fight without performance-enhancing drugs. So, and we're not going to tell the audience what we're looking at here, but this is why everyone thinks that Holly Holm is on performance-enhancing drugs.
Yep.
Yeah, might make that happen. But that could be photoshopped. I don't know.
Yeah.
This could be an Eddie Bravo moon picture.
It could be.
I don't know.
Holly Holm, Flat Earth 2018. It's the new conspiracy.
Yeah, man, that was a good fight. One of my guys and I are gonna break it down on.
You talking about the Holly Holm Chris Cyborg fight?
Yeah, we're gonna rewatch the main card. So we're gonna watch the Condit fight again. We're gonna watch the Khabib fight and the Holm fight. We might watch. I think there's 5. Khabib, yeah. There's a lot of people that think no one can beat him. Do you see where it's like Tony Ferguson is an Eddie Bravo 10th Planet guy?
Yeah.
And he was so pissed about Joe Rogan wearing that hat that Khabib gave him as a gift. You know, he's like, "Oh, what are you trading in your 10th Planet gear?" It's like, dude, that's the political side of this. That, like, people even at that level, it's like Joe Rogan is like one of the I used to say he's a first generation 10th Planet black belt.
Yeah, I
know Tony Ferguson just got his black belt, but it's like, that's weird stuff that creates division. I guess people get their feelings hurt but it's like, dude, Khabib's a badass fighter. You can't be a fan of MMA and hate awesome fighters. The only thing I don't like about Khabib is you never know if he's going to make weight. I hadn't got to see him fight a whole lot recently because of those types of issues.
Right. Oh my gosh, and Edson Barboza's heart.
Dude, I know in the 3rd round he was kicking super fast. Like, I'm like, dude, how are you still kicking that fast after getting taken down, having to work yourself up?
Yeah, that was crazy. I was in Mississippi watching that fight, and I was at my girlfriend's family's house, and they nobody there watches UFC. Everybody there watches football, and so I've got Fight Pass. I'm using my phone as a hotspot, and I'm in the corner with my laptop trying to watch the fights, and everybody else is talking about, the OU game or whatever.
Yeah, dude. I don't watch a lot of football. I haven't. I said this on air the other day. It's like in our state, it's like everybody knows this. I'm like, no, I haven't watched collegiate football since Reggie Fish dropped that ball. Like, dude, I say that to Arkansas football fans, and they're just immediately like, shame. Yeah. They're like, shame.
That's funny.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, the Arkansas Razorbacks, the college football team of our end of the SEC, is not good and has maybe never been good since I've been a teenage or grown man.
Yeah.
They were good once, and then they squandered that on the game I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. That was the season, dude. Darren McFadden. Where is he playing at now?
He was in Dallas, but I don't think he's there anymore.
So Phyllis Jones went to the Cowboys.
That's right. Darren McFadden went to Oakland.
Went to Oakland, but didn't so Felix Jones, I guess, went somewhere else and is not playing anymore or something. But he was doing.
I think the Cowboys picked up D-Mac after he left Oakland.
So I think you're right.
I think the Cowboys ended up with both of them.
Yeah, but I want to say that Felix Jones is not there anymore.
Yeah.
But D-Mac is. I think that's going on. But I mean, they could both be there. And man, both those dudes in the backfield. Like Casey Dick was the quarterback? Is that correct? Was that who was it when D-Mac was a senior?
Yeah.
Man, just the raw potential, because they started out the season. Was it that season, the season before they had Gus Malazan and that Mitch Mustaine?
I think that was the season before. I might be mistaken.
Dude, I would love it if they would hire Gus Malazan back. I loved the way he was running. Like, it was just like that was when Houston Nutt was on his way out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because Malazan was on the coaching staff.
Yeah.
So I have a guy at the gym right now that played for Arkansas when Houston Nutt was there, went with Houston Nutt to Ole Miss, right? I think that's where he went.
Yeah.
And then got, I believe, got drafted or walked on with the Vikings, and then got picked up by the Colts, and even started a game with the Colts.
Wow.
And tore his tricep in like the first game he started.
Yeah.
And now that dude does judo and jiu-jitsu, and he's 6'8" or 10.
Sounds terrifying.
Yeah, he's a savage.
Yeah.
What's so funny is, like, you know how, like, you ever grapple with like a smaller person or a female, or like I grapple with some of the kids in kids class. There's an odd number, and I'll even pick the bigger kid. You know, like, and it's still like it's awkward, like figuring out how to grapple with a way smaller proportionate to like you.
Right.
So like that dude, like his only awkwardness was learning how to grapple with like normal sized people like you and I.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, I'm 6 foot, you're 6'8", 6'10". I can't remember how tall he is, like 285. He weighed like, I want to say he weighed 350 when he was in the NFL. I'm like, dude, that's crazy, bro. Matt Hall's his name. He's a total savage. He works at the jail. How would you like that dude to be locking the door on your cell? I'm like, dude. Well, a couple of my guys have worked at the jail, and apparently, like, on any given day at the jail, someone might throw poop at you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, ain't nobody throwing poop at
I'm
this
not
guy.
throwing anything
Yeah,
at
I
that
know,
man.
dude. It's just like, I bet he walks down the block, and everybody's like, just standing up straight and stuff.
Yeah.
Too funny.
And that's how UFC fighters feel about Francis Ngannou.
Oh, dude, he just decapitated Overeem.
Oh, my God.
Just like punched his head off of his body. I was like,
Well, Overeem's dead.
yeah.
That's what I was thinking
Dude,
when I was
that's
watching that. I was like, well, Overeem's dead.
There needs to be a mechanism, and this is a super talked about issue. There needs to be a mechanism to get those people out of there. Like, dude, you remember when Chuck Liddell, like, he got knocked out like 2 or 3 times, and then they're like, you're done, you're retiring, you're done, you're done. Nobody wants to see this, because he got knocked out by Rich Franklin, kind of flukish. Shogun TKO'd him, but he kind of went out. But people go out all the time. It's like Alistair Overeem got knocked out way more times than Chuck Liddell did. Rampage knocked him out. Let's see, Rampage, Rashad, Rich Franklin, and Shogun. But the Shogun TKO was not horrible. I felt like it was an earlier stoppage because he'd been knocked out a couple
compared to the
of
other
times.
ones.
But so that's 4.
Yeah.
And all my memory in the UFC, I mean, he took some damage, but he, never got knocked out clean. I think just like when Rashad turned his bell like that, that knockout was sick. I think it was a lead hook that he caught him with, and that was like, oh man, Chuck's dead. Like, he got knocked way the F out, and I was super shocked about it, and sad because I was pulling for him to win. It was like Rampage had just come over. This when the Pride merger happened. And, well, I mean, Chuck fought Vanderlei and did fine. Vanderlei's like, if anybody's going to come at you, it's going to be
Vanderlei, yeah.
But, I feel like it's like they need a mechanism, like, and I guess they can't. I guess it's pressure, because like I felt like there was a period of time when you lost 3 fights and you were out. And now you might lose 1 fight and you might be out if you're not a fan favorite. Like, dude, Benson Henderson, they're like, and I have a conspiracy theory on that, by the way. My conspiracy theory is that, so look at all the problems of the UFC. Like, they got the Fox deal, landmark. They got the USADA, landmark. Like, GSP said one of the main reasons he quit is because there was no regulation in the sport of performance-enhancing drugs, and I still don't think that there is enough. They're doing what they can, but it also has like created all these issues and deterrents and barriers of entry, and barriers of continuity for some people. Like, you can't tell by photo, because it could be an after they just got done fighting photo and everything's flexed out, but like there are a lot of people doing those before and after USADA photos, and like, man, I just try not anymore to base things off just seeing a photo, since so many photos can be doctored. I was like, I'm learning a lot about I'm learning a lot about Photoshop right now, so I can do things for the podcast, and it's it's remarkable the things you can do with Photoshop. I love the ones they make on Joe. Did you see the Star Wars one they made on Joe Rogan?
Yes.
Joe Rogan's a little Asian girl.
Yes.
I was dying when I saw that, bro. But that's just the cool stuff you can do with Photoshop. I could make a photo of any fighter and, do some After Effects on it, just like shade in their abs and pump them up a little bit. I mean, it's what people like Kim Kardashian do. They have their own professional people that, create their own images because they're an industry.
Right.
So I think that there should be a mechanism like, okay, Overeem, that's the 14th time you've been knocked out in your career, and that's not counting in gym knockouts. And one more time, you're done.
Yeah.
Or like set a number, like if it's 3, if it's 5, if it's 10, however many knockouts it is, or because dude, it's like they say they just found out for a way to check for CTE while you're still alive. So
really?
You just have to look at your brain after you've already passed, but there's got to be some way to like regulate fighters. It's like Dana White, like personally stepped in on that Chuck Liddell thing. He's like, you're out. Yeah. You're done. So I don't know what the answer is, but I don't want to see Michael Bisping fight anymore because he's effed up. Like you just
he gets hit and his eye goes all the way back in his head.
Dude, he's like just blind. He's like,
he's fighting blind.
That's like I was happy when Alan Belcher retired because Michael Bisping injured his eye and he had just had a near career-ending eye injury before. It's like Mike Winklejohn, John Jones, Holly Holmes' coach, he only has one eye because he got kicked in the eye. Somebody's toenail split his optic nerve, dude. I got to train with him. He told the story because he had to wear. And I'd seen him wearing goggles backstage at the UFC several times, but like just warming up fighters. But yeah, he wears a pair of safety glasses when he works mitts and pads now.
Man,
yeah, crazy. I would hate to have to wear safety glasses because just like working mitts, like I worked mitts with somebody and we did bag work, mitt work, and then sparred a couple rounds this morning before the cast, and. Like, I mean, I was worked up a sweat, and I was just, like, really letting this person work. It was just a lady that training that's wanting to maybe compete this year.
Yeah.
We just did some super light sparring. I just kind of bipped her with my jab and stuff and letting her work on me, getting some work in. Because, I mean, like, if any time I'm working with somebody, she's 125 pounds or something. It's like 185. It's like I just barely bipping her. I didn't have my mouthpiece in, just letting her work. I just like, don't worry about putting headgear on. Because I'm not going to hit her in the head that hard. And I just bipped her and let her chase me, and she got super tired. But I was just moving around, sweating, working mitts. It's like, fog those glasses right up.
Yeah, fog them up, and then you can't see, and then you're more likely to get hit.
Yeah, hold on. Let me wipe off my safety glasses so you don't ruin my other optic nerve.
Yeah.
That's crazy about how many fighters have had those injuries and why. Another thing in the sport, they haven't regulated the finger issue. Is why they say you have to point them up, but it's like – I think what they could do on fouls, is just get more strict. Did you watch Holly Holm versus Jermaine Durand?
Yes.
Did she hit her after the bell that second time and they didn't take a point? I was like, I'm going to turn this off.
Yeah.
It's like you're the worst ref ever. I get that's like Big John McCarthy, Herb Dean, Rosenthal. I'm trying to think of some other refs that have refed a lot of fights. Mario Yamasaki. Mizugaki. No, is Mizugaki a ref? Maybe I'm just thinking Yamasaki. I don't know. Maybe Mizugaki's a fighter from China or somewhere.
I don't know.
But Mario Yamasaki, people talk crap about those refs. But in my opinion, those are just the best refs that ref and call the most fights and call the biggest profile fights.
Yeah.
And whatever that dude, whoever he was, that was in that title fight, it's like, dude, like, here's the thing. That would have been a draw if he would have took a point. It was 47-48. It's like if you would have done your job, like that's what I hate about referees. It's subjective, man.
Yeah.
Like literally, I was telling a story yesterday about Cora competing in IBJJF in Dallas, and it was 0-0, no advantages. She initiated a takedown. And then this girl had her in mount for just a second, and then the girl rolled over in Cora's guard.
Yeah.
Cora attacks arm bars and all of this. Girl can't pass her guard. Cora had initiated the takedown. Ref gave the decision to the other girl.
Man.
Then I'm talking like another IBJJF that same year, same exact situation, but let's say Cora's the other girl. Except that there was no near takedown at the beginning. Cora ends up on top, working to pass the guard. That girl on bottom attacks no submissions, gets no advantage, 0-0. Cora also loses the match. It's like that just because literally it's like the ref operating off his imperfect memory of the match. Like, I mean, I see refs all the time, less so in IBJJF, but like they're checking their phones, watching another match. I see that in IBJJF all the time. I've had to yell at a ref and be like, "Ref, could you please watch this match?"
Yeah, watch this fight. The one that's going
and
on in
it
front
was
of you.
not at an IBJJF that happened. But it's just like, look, I need you to watch these people. You're here to protect them. And if you do have to make a call after the match, like, hey, this person won, raise their hand.
Yeah.
It's like literally, what are you going to do? Look at her. She won. It's just too subjective, and that's like on taking points away. I think there needs to be some real delineated, like, you poke somebody in the eye, and it's like, it happens more than once. You hit someone I think if you hit someone after the bell, if it's like, if it's blatant, like I felt that was
the first time I thought it was blatant. The second time I couldn't believe the fight wasn't.
Well, here's the thing. So like the first time, here's what I look at too on that. If it's one punch, it's like, okay, you hit, but like that Durandamy got at least 2 punches landed, and I felt like this in that first occurrence. I felt like the second one jacked home.
Yes.
I felt like she hit her hard,
rocked her,
and like she sat down on the stool and was like effed up.
Yeah,
it's like she was sitting there and said something like, "That one rocked me" or something like that. Like, and it's like, yeah. And then like Winklejohn and the guy she's talking about with the eye, he's in the corner that like they're like getting up, like the bells are, they're getting up, and like they turn around and see it, and they showed it twice to show at the end of the fight, and then while it happened, they're like just throw their hands up like, what are you doing? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. I'm really passionate about stuff like that because like fouls are like I got to train with he did a talk. John Hackelman, Chuck Liddell's coach.
I don't know who it is, but
he's in Glover Teixeira's coach. He's
okay.
Glover Teixeira's coach right now.
Yeah,
and he was giving a talk at that Vegas conference I was mentioning earlier, and he's like, "Well, what I teach a lot of people that don't do MMA and don't fight, and they just come here for martial arts and self defense. It's like we teach them how to not get fouled." And how to stop fouls from happening. He's like, because Glover Teixeira was in the room at this session we were at, and he's like, Glover's here on the front row. Ask him what it felt like when Gustafsson poked him in the eye. Ask him that if after the fight his eye was not hurting anymore. As a matter of fact, his eye was hurting for a week so bad he couldn't even drive a car. Like, I mean, like literally, like not just like debilitating in the fight, debilitating more than any other damage he took in the fight for 7 days was his eye that got poked, not more than once. I think it was like 2 or 3 times. Yeah. But he's just like, how he broke it down. He's like, imagine you getting poked in the eye, not even super hard, just kind of like, oh, ow, like just like training. Yeah. And then you just, go on about your day. And he's like, imagine getting poked super freaking hard in a fight to the point you can't see anymore. Yeah. Like you can't hardly even open your eye without it hurting. You know how you get poked in the eye and you just want to close it. You just want to close it until it stops stinging. Yeah. He's like, yeah, it didn't stop stinging for 7 days. So, God. I mean, and that's the kind of stuff that cuts your optic nerve or severs your optic nerve. That's like, I mean, that was Alan Belcher with his eye injury. So, like, I think that's like the third instance we talked about eye injuries. I think eye injuries are, I mean, taking fighters out more than anything. Joe Rogan beats on the, and he talked about it on the Nowitzki episode, I believe, on the no gloves thing. Yeah. But it's like, dude, I think it was Josh Barnett. I was telling people this. I just all the time now I'm telling people how to make a fist. Like something that I like. There's a bunch of papers published on like medical journals about how the thumb only covers your first 2 fingers and not your other 2. So these 2 break commonly. But I think it was Josh Barnett in one fight because of the MMA glove and how hard people hit. You see a heavyweight broke this bone right here between his pointer finger and his middle finger. Yeah, dude. And like typically, like people damage their thumb throwing overhands or whiff and hit their pinky and their ring finger's not covered. But dude, when you're breaking between that pointer finger and middle finger, like all the way down to your wrists, like it like looked like it was split in half, like a wishbone on the X-ray. And I was just like, bro. But dude, I mean, that's like, what are the fixes for stuff like that? I don't know.
What would it be like to be able to punch that hard? You just split your hand like that.
Well, you got to think like, and I know they were kind of saying the machine's like super old or whatever, but Ngannou, Ngannou, whatever his name is,
Yeah,
Francis.
Ngannou.
We'll call him Francis.
Yeah.
Very
Good old
very-
Francis.
Yeah, very, very non-threatening name. Hey, Fran.
Yeah.
But they say he was hitting the gel dummy or whatever, and registered like a harder punch than anyone ever, or something like just like Ivan Drago and Rocky Ford, just whoosh. But and two, so and I wonder. Like when you get to that level, when you're about to fight a heavyweight champion, and I don't know anything about this dude and what he's doing other than he looks like a savage when he does open workouts and when he fights. But it's like at that level when you're about to fight Stipe and you've got some money and you've been doing well and you're getting endorsements and sponsorship money and blah, 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 blah. What are you doing with that money to ensure that you're going to win outside of camp? That's like the John Jones thing. It's like, I think that dude is doing blood transfusions.
Yeah.
And I think he's spending his money what he perceives to be wisely. And, I mean, I can't really knock him for it because how many other people are doing it? Mm-hmm. I think this. I just like, and I've heard several people say this. It's like, just let him do it. Because you cannot regulate. And the odds show this. I was looking at an article the other day because I want to do some spots on I'm going to do a Sports Unraveled side where we just talk about just MMA or what, I don't know what we're doing right now. But,
yeah.
And where we just pick a fighter and we break down like, hey, here's 5 fights that were, led to the downfall of Michael Bisping's career. And stuff like that. Just be like, just start with the Dan Henderson fight. No, here he got knocked out by Vitor Belfort. Here he got knocked, first Luke Rockhold fight. And here's where he injured his eye. And here's how many fights he had since he injured. Just to break down real stats that give you the data to be like, why the F is this dude still fighting?
Yeah.
He used to be a DJ in the UK.
Dan Henderson?
No, Michael Bisping.
Oh.
DJ Back Scratcher. I played the turntables backwards.
I did not
behind
know
his
that.
back. Yeah, DJ Back Scratcher. That comes up. My buddy Colby tells me that every time Michael Bisping comes. He's like, DJ Back Scratcher. It's funny.
That's a wrong DJ in the club to pick a fight with.
I know, dude. Right? Michael Bisping. He got that dude's a bit of a hothead. I wouldn't be surprised if that dude's on steroids just because he's he is a hothead. Like he got in a fight with somebody, he's like his former manager or something, got in a shoving match / punches thrown outside of a courtroom the other day.
Really?
Yeah, because he ended up having to pay the dude a bunch of money.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they're outside the courtroom, there's a scuffle. So super interesting. But
what was his manager doing? That he's like, you know what? If this gets physical, I'm going to stand here and get physical with Michael Bisping. If I was Michael Bisping's manager and Michael Bisping wanted to get physical with me, I would run the other direction.
Yeah. I feel the same way, dude. It's like, or would I be like, I'm going to let Michael Bisping beat my ass a little bit so I can get some more money from him, right?
Yeah.
This is funny. But that would be the number one thing. I wouldn't want to engage with him, but it's like, dude, if you're going to be a crazy person and beat my ass, I'm going to sue you.
Oh, yeah.
You got but dude, I want to say that dude took him for a few hundred, $500,000 or something of money that he wasn't paid during a certain time that he was manager. And so that's dude, when I see these fighters at that level and why people, it's they're always talking about the gap, the disparity between an entry level UFC fighter that's not really in the top 10 or not getting those fights versus the people we're talking about, the Michael Bispings and guys.
Right.
Those dudes are making the bank. They're an industry.
Mm-hmm.
Floyd Mayweather is an industry. He's not just a fighter. There's people who make their entire living off of his existence.
Yeah.
That's what blows my mind is this dude over here doesn't have a job because he's basically in Floyd's entourage.
Right.
And what does he do in Floyd's entourage? I don't even know. Gets paid?
Gets paid.
Yeah. We're gonna be there someday.
Yeah.
But just not in Floyd's entourage. We'll be in our own entourage.
Yeah. I'll be in yours, you'll be in mine.
What
do you think about the lightweight division and Conor McGregor?
Man, I just want the thing that annoys me with all divisions is I think interim champions are bullshit.
So do I.
I get that, and that's that dude. That's such a taint on Cormier's legacy.
Mm-hmm.
No one believes he's the real champ.
Right.
That's sad to me because he's legit. Dude, Daniel Cormier picked Josh Burnett up in a high crotch and made him, like, dumped him, and he did a flip in the heavyweight division. This is before he moved down. And what's crazy, too, is that Cormier was doing that stuff. I think he was 37, 38 years old. He's 40-plus now and is still hanging. But, like, I hate it when divisions get stalled. Like, it's like with the Khabib thing. It's like, dude, I want to see you fight Tony Ferguson. And you robbed me of that because you're not, like, that's what I was saying about, like, the performance-enhancing drugs. It's like, in John Jones's mind, who has no problem making weight, that's how he spends his resources. Yeah. I'm sure. I'm fairly sure. Yeah. I mean, I hate to just throw dude under the bus, but it's like, what is, how many times have you been busted?
Right.
For whatever.
And that's the times he got caught. That's not necessarily how many times he did it.
I know, dude. That's exactly it. And like when he was talking on Joe Rogan, when he was on, he's about the dick pills, and it's like, yeah, I would just go out and just do cocaine and do all this crazy stuff. That way, if I lost, I hadn't. And it's like, dude, like he had a back door so he wouldn't feel bad if he lost. Yep. And it was like, I'm always gonna go super party, and then it's like, and that's like he made that comment to Cormier. He's like, dude, I beat you on cocaine. Like, it's like, God, damn, bro.
Such
and
that's
the stuff that's like makes Daniel Cormier look like a little sissy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, dude, you couldn't beat this guy because he's on performance-enhancing drugs or whatever. But really, you lost to him twice, and after the last loss, you're still champ. And before that, because he is out before, you get the championship and unify with the other. And it's like, man. That's why I wanted to see Khabib fight Tony Ferguson. I still want to see that. I mean, dude, Eddie Alvarez back in the mix. Yeah. Blew my mind. He beat Justin Gaethje. And then Justin Gaethje, I heard that on Joe Rogan. I love that he's just doing the MMA
I know. I like that too.
And he's like, yeah, I said it's the best thing that ever happened to him. I'm like, dude. Because when I saw Justin Gaethje fight Michael Johnson live, I was blown away. Yeah. I rewatched it the other day, and it ends in the second round. You're just like, oh, yeah. And then like you're like, are these dudes okay? Like, somebody send somebody in there to check on them just to be sure, because they just beat the dog crap. I mean, I've never seen a round go like that, and then it kind of really get to that level intensity for a time in the second round. Yeah. I mean, you have like, but it's kind of like you usually see it's finished. Like, I remember Pat Barry versus Chet Congo. You ever see that one?
No, I haven't seen that one.
So Pat Barry just totally gets knocked out in the fight, and like I believe it's the first round, but before that, he dropped Chet Congo like 4 times in 20 seconds or something. This is like, bam, Chet Congo's out. It's like, oh, he's out. Oh, my God. Gets back up. They're going. He drops him again. They're like, Chet Congo's going to die soon. Yeah. And it like drops him again, and then checks over against the fence, and it's like 3 or 4 times he's been dropped, and just whiffs an overhand, and just Barry not only went down, but out. Yeah. And I was like, whoa. Come along. What didn't Pat Barry get like rear naked choked by Mirko Krokop?
I don't know.
I was thinking he submitted Mirko, but then I was like, no, Mirko submitted him, and that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
I think it's Mirko Krokop's only submission win.
Yeah.
Too funny.
What about what is the name of the distinguished gentleman that manhandled Cowboy Cerrone? Because I love Cowboy Cerrone.
Darren Till.
Yes, Darren Till.
Yeah, dude. People like him and Colby Covington, I'm just like scared. Yeah. Like, that's what I say. Like, I feel like in 5 years, that 3-fighter model, like you got this, and I feel like that exists in MMA. They call it like you got your sprawling brawler. It's like, dude, you're gonna come a time really soon when it's like in like Greg Jackson's camp, I believe, and other camps, Alpha Male. Who's another one that I like to follow? Several camps bring that to the game, I feel like, in a way to where it's like they don't be bringing any one style, one trick pony people to the fight. They bring people that get submission wins, they get knockout wins, they get takedowns, they can wrestle in the cage. And you started seeing that a few years ago where you get people come in as like complete mixed martial artists. And I think we're going to see that a lot more, and I think that people like Darren Till, and then what was it, Colby Covington? I can't remember which one of them like lived in Brazil for 8 years and like has all these kickboxing fights.
Or that's Darren Till.
Yeah, I mean that's just that. Like you look at the resume, like this dude knows everything. Yeah, this dude's a like high level jiu-jitsu guy. He's got sick wrestling. He can knock people out. He can put legit strikers down.
So, do you think that because of that, we're going to see less specialists? Like, we're going to see less of the Damian Maias?
I do. And, I mean, if you look at Damian Maia's trajectory, it's like he became a striker.
Yeah.
That's like, I do think that. And then there's the Rickson Gracie's mindset is like, I can fight a boxer without boxing.
Yeah.
You know, which is, I don't know. You know, I don't know what that, I don't know what to think about that. I think it's possible. I think Rickson could do it. I've seen him do it. And he did it at that seminar. He's like, touch my face. And just stood there and like all these white belts come up. He's like, just like this. Just reach and just touch my forehead with your fingertip.
Yeah.
Just touch my face. So you could poke my eye if you could do that. And like he just did this thing. I won't like get into it, but like where he's doing this, kind of make him like a boxer's wedge and fight with the elbow instead of hand fighting. And he's like, okay, stop me from touching your face. He's like picked one of Alan Belcher's black belts out, and like this dude, I know his crazy mustache. He's like, no one could touch his face. No one could stop him from touching their face. He'd just be like, boop, just right on the forehead. And it's like, so he exists on another plane.
Yeah.
You know, like literally another plane of existence when it comes to fighting.
But for normal humans.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I think if Crone would have trained with Rickson a long time, it would have been a little different. But Rickson was gone for close to 10 years after his first son died. Like just fell off the map, left, went to Brazil. I think he just surfed and became Yoda. So yeah,
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna take a leak real quick.
All right, buddy.
And that easy, we're back.
Sweet.
Yeah. No, that's a nice part about doing it this way, which like there's the other day, Cora and I were casting. I just got up and went in the other room and did some stuff because she was on this big riff about Black Mirror.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll be right back. I'm going to go to the restroom, go get a drink, whatever. So it is like I'm looking forward to just figuring out all the little things. Like the first couple of casts, I was like, not like I was like stiff or anything, but I'm like, oh, I can't hit pause, or then you hit pause and like quite literally just pick right back up, and it's not even noticeable. Yeah. You can just leave it rolling, and just talk to the audience. Or if there's two people in here, like I just got a mic stand yesterday, and I've got another mic. It's not as nice as these mics that I can do a third person. So when I have Flavio, this dude holds the Guinness Book of Records for the longest scooter ride.
And you're gonna have him on?
Oh yeah. He's doing a seminar at my gym, not this coming Tuesday, but next Tuesday, January 16th. And I'm doing a pro lesson with him. He's going to be on the podcast. But he's like third degree black belt, first generation Nova and Yao black belt. So like Nova and Yao, like Jose Aldo, Hidden Brow.
Yeah.
And he rode his scooter from Teresópolis, Brazil, or Rio, Brazil, to Alaska.
What?
Yeah.
On a scooter?
On a scooter, dude. And he's been teaching the king or the sheik, the head sheik, the sultan. I don't know. Is he sultan? I don't know. And Dubois has been teaching that guy's grandson. That's kind of a big deal, I feel.
Yeah.
Been teaching in Dubois for like 5 or 6 years. It's like super nice over there. It's like the Mecca. There was of Jiu-Jitsu right now.
Really?
Oh yeah, dude. They had the largest jiu-jitsu class out there, 3,000 people a couple years ago, and I want to say he was teaching at it. So this dude's coming on, going to talk about that. He's here doing some competitions and stuff in the U.S. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to having him on. And then like 2 weeks after that, we're talking about Rickson a second ago. I have Jack Toffer on, who's doing a seminar. He just did a 4-hour private with 3.5-4 hour private with Rickson. Oh, I know, dude. So, but yeah, Rickson doesn't think you need to actually train boxing.
Yeah.
But train to not get hit by a boxer. There's this, someone just told me about this, and they're like, hey, when you said that, because I was telling them this, like, same story about Rickson.
Yeah.
They're like, have you heard of, I think it's Melancomas, Melankomas. I think that's how you spell it. I'll have to look it up. It's a, possibly a mythological guy from, like, ancient Greek history that was a boxer. And he had, like, maybe an Olympic boxer, but he had all of his wins, but he never threw a blow and never got hit. So he would like duck, dive, dodge, and dip. And dodge wrenches. I don't know what he was doing, but he was getting out of the way, and these people would fight him to like exhaustion, and he would win that way.
Oh wow!
Like he would just like slip,
Yeah.
weave, slip, weave. Like wouldn't hit them, let them punch themselves out and go to exhaustion, and he was just literally like using agility.
Yeah.
Some historians think that he wasn't a real guy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This is a fascinating story, but they're like, hey, have you heard of this? And I'm like, no, I haven't. Not really.
Yeah.
Not in the way I'm reading on this Wikipedia page right now.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, this reminded me of what you're saying about Hickson. So
It's very cool. I've never heard of that guy either.
yeah, now which I
really want to look him up.
There's a professor, I don't know how long you've been at Tech, but he actually passed away last year. But I took him for as many classes as I could. And this class was offered when I first went back to school in 2009, but like it was like I was too nervous to take it. It was like I was just going back, and it was like a 4,000 level course. It's Greek and Roman history, but with David Krieger.
No, I never had him.
You ever hear about him? This dude was old school, man. He would walk in, knew exactly where he was from last class, like mid sentence if it was. Didn't use a book, didn't use a watch. He would take his watch out, a pocket watch, and put it on the podium, but he would never look at it. And he'd be like, well, the weather is going to be this, and last time we left off here. Like, he'd just give you a little, like, here's what the weather's doing, here's what my flowers are doing, like some little comment that's like, man, that's like, thanks, for whatever you just said.
Yeah.
It's like a daily little events thing, and but this dude would just lecture.
That you'd have to know your material so well to be able to.
I was talking to him one time, and I was just like polling him. I'm like, hey, have you ever taught the class World War II? Blah, 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 what classes I was taking as I talked to him periodically, like after class and stuff. And one day, because like a lot of classes I took him for were interrelated. Like I took him for Enlightenment, which was really related to French Revolution, which really related to the history of England. And he just like really tied all those things together. He even hit on the Rosetta Stone part of like the Napoleon story in ancient Egypt for a seminar I took him for, and in Napoleon, the French Revolution class. So the dude was just like able to tie it all in and bring it to like current day and everything. And like one time I saw him like, so if you taught this, if you taught that, and he's like, I have taught all the classes here at Tech. In the history, in the whole catalog. He's like, I've actually taught every. And when he retired, they took one of the classes he taught that was like a 3-part class. It was like 3 different classes, and they made it into one. And I was just like, like the Enlightenment, the French Revolution, and the Napoleonic era. They made that all into one class, and they might even packed something else into there. I can't remember, but it was just like they took 3 courses and distilled them down into one, and I was like, man, what a bummer.
Yeah.
But I got to, and then coincidentally, I'm teaching Civ 2, and a lot of the topics, like almost all the topics that they want you to cover, I've had a whole class on. So I'm like, and a lot of those classes were with that guy, so it's just like bored into my medulla up here.
Yeah.
So you got any dates coming up, man? Like what's going on in the future for you?
Yeah. Kind of answer your question from earlier too. I do mostly open mics during the week, and then I have been started to get booked on the weekends, traveling, doing some shows. Nothing in Little Rock, but I've done some paid shows in Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, around.
Nice, man.
Yeah, really cool, but like little small dive bars, things like that. I will be at the Looney Saloon. That's in Miami, Oklahoma, March 14th through the 17th. They're having a March Madness competition.
Oh, nice.
And I'm one of the comics on that.
How many other comics are going to be there?
40.
Wow.
Yeah, something like that. 40.
That's cool, dude. That's got to be a cool event just to be a part of.
Yeah, it's fun. And I know most of the comics that are going to be in it. And a lot of them is like, they're from Kansas City. I'm from Russellville. So I've met them when we met and did a show in Tulsa. So it's cool to see them again. Be like, hear their material, how it's evolved. And it really is.
I think that like what we were talking about earlier, like that's probably it more than anything is like when you go to high school, for example.
Yeah.
It's like you're a part of 11th grade or a part of the high school or the junior high or whatever. But that's just, I don't know, that's different to me than being like, even in football, like I was on the team, and I have a student right now that's kind of dealing with this with team sports. It's just like, He's on the team, but he's, like kind of an outsider.
Yeah.
Not really like a key part of the team, but could and should be. I mean, it's more like an issue of just like he just moved here type deal, and there's weird dynamics like that offset the actualization of potential. Honestly, it's like I tell people this all the time. Cora sat on the bench in basketball in junior high, and then was like convinced that she was not athletic, wouldn't be anything, and then goes and beats a girl with like 33 fights her first kickboxing fight.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it sounds to me like your coach just didn't actualize your true potential.
Right.
I'm not saying that I was that coach for her, but it's just like she just had found her thing. It's like, but what she found is like her tribe. Like now she's a part of this community, the martial arts community, the kickboxing community, the jiu-jitsu community. She's not a part of the boxing community because she doesn't want to box.
Yeah. That's exactly how I feel about comedy.
Yeah, I mean it is. It's like it's almost like a tribe. It's like that's how I feel about like almost in I feel like I can mesh pretty well with anybody because I'm like, yeah, dude, how you probably do your comedy is probably similar to how I do my jiu-jitsu, and so that's like a mutual respect thing that I have. I have a lot of respect for anybody that can take anything and make a niche out of it.
Yeah,
because I've had to do that. That's like my whole existence, and both of my mortgages hinge on being able to take an idea. Like when I go give talks to high schools and stuff, like motivational talks or whatever they want us to come in and do, I'm like, so I went to Barnes and Noble and I purchased the book, How to Run a Martial Arts School for Dummies. And I'm like, but I'm lying because no one ever wrote that book.
Yeah.
Because it's just like such a niche thing. It's like, I mean, I'm sure there's some like, like really though, if you have to get like a how to be a stand-up comic book, is
right?
You know what I'm saying?
You're not gonna.
Like I tried to do that one time for music. I was like, man, because like I'm kind of like a David Gilmour. Like I've written lyrics to go with a lot of like I've written a lot of original songs like musically. I never wrote a lot of lyrics. It's like not writer's block or anything. It's not my strong suit. Like one time I picked up a book like songwriting for dummies. It was something like that, but it wasn't for dummies. It was like it was a book on like methodologies. It was a pretty good book, but still I was like, I feel like a fraud here if I'm trying way too hard. Which not to say that book learning makes you a fraud. It's like that's just one of those things. I feel like Todd Snyder, that guy that my friend saw in concert last night, he's gonna come on and talk about later today. No one tells Todd Snyder how to write a song. He just does it. It's awesome.
It's funny, when I first got into stand-up, I did the online masterclass because I saw the ads.
I want to do one of those. Who'd you do?
I did Steve Martin's.
No.
Yes, I did.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
It was great, and Steve has some amazing advice that I'd still use, but also it's like when you're learning from Steve Martin, it's not like you're going to hear how to from Steve Martin. All of a sudden, you're going to get on stage and be Steve Martin.
No, it's like it's a progression thing.
Yeah,
I feel like tidbits. But man, I love getting my information from like what I love about martial arts and like probably like you're saying, talking to that guy or taking a Steve Martin masterclass. Is it's like I love getting things through the oral tradition. Like, hey, I'm passing this to you. Excuse me, with this masterclass or whatever it is that we decided to do.
Yeah.
And, dude, I wanted to do one of those. I think it would help me with the podcast. Plus, I'm a geek with Scorsese or Ron Howard, bro. How many sessions was it? How many videos?
I don't remember because I got like 3/4 of the way through, and then masterclass for whatever reason, because I'd logged in through Facebook, it wouldn't let me log back. Like when I log in, the Steve Martin class isn't there, so I don't know if it's
like as expiration or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if it expired or what happened. So I haven't actually finished it, but it was several. I mean, I spent several hours.
Yeah, I want to say the Scorsese's like 15 videos. And it's, like they vary in length and like an hour or two plus.
Yeah, but I love that class, but also talking to older comedians and like because it's just like in jiu-jitsu, like and. Once you've invented the wheel, there's no reason to go back.
Once you train with Hickson, people can't touch your face.
Yeah.
And so, dude, I'm telling you, like, when I came back, my judo instructor, who's 73, Mr. Dean, I think you met him.
I met him.
He was like, you're enlightened. And I was like, he was just watching me teach the concepts I learned from Hickson. So I taught the crap out of him.
Yeah.
But he's like, for whatever reason, about this hip throw you learned from Hickson and defending the Osoto and, you know, stopping the people from getting your grips or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, you're enlightened on these things. And I was like, thanks.
Yeah. That's a pretty big compliment.
It was, man, because I see that dude as enlightened. You
Yeah.
know, and humbly speaking, I mean, I don't see myself as one of the greatest coaches or anything in the world other than like I have a drive and a determination to better the process and the product and everything I'm doing in every area.
Yeah.
And that's like the thing about me, like I'm 30 years old and we have the boxing club, we have the judo club, we have a bunch of people that do jiu-jitsu gi and no gi, probably our biggest sect of the kids who do MMA or jiu-jitsu. And then the adults that do kickboxing. So it's really like 5 things.
Yeah.
Boxing, kickboxing, judo, jiu-jitsu, and MMA. MMA kind of weaving it all together, obviously, but you have to balance everything out over all of those things. I study all of those things. I've always studied all of those things. Studied boxing super intensely since 2013. Always done kickboxing. Have always done MMA. Have always done gi and no gi. Have not always done judo, but now I'm a black belt in judo. So it's just like I'm always reassessing things through the lens of each one of those specializations.
Right.
So even when I do judo anymore, it's like it's a very mixed thing. You know, it's like it's crazy how it layers up, you know, so to speak.
Yeah.
Well, so like who are some older comics you like to listen to? Like
I like Joe Rogan's my favorite. He was my inspiration.
Dude, Joe Rogan's in his 50s, bro.
I know.
That's remarkable. Come a long way since the Fear Factor days.
Yeah. I love Dave Chappelle. Joey Diaz, obviously.
Fucking Momo.
Yeah. Brian Callen's latest special. Did you see it?
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh,
I
it's
saw
good.
it on
It's
there.
his best one.
Doesn't Ari Shaffir have a new special on Netflix, or was that an older one? I haven't seen it though. I was wanting to watch it.
I don't think it's a year old yet, Ari Shaffir's, but it was released a while ago.
Yeah, I just noticed it, man. And like that's something on Netflix. Like I'm getting more into. Like I may even do so like anything that's like a streaming whatever that we watch. We're doing that after the show spot on.
Yeah.
So like Corey and I did the Black Mirror season 1 through 4. Colby and I did the season 8 Game of Thrones. I thought about doing like because what we're doing is a Netflix originals.
Oh.
After the show, Netflix originals.
Yeah.
And everything we do, we put in that playlist on YouTube.
Yeah.
But then we're doing like an HBO, so like True Detective, Game of Thrones, Westworld.
Yeah.
Dude, I cannot wait for season 2 of Westworld.
Oh my gosh, I love that show.
Dude, I watched the whole thing like 4 times.
Yeah.
Like I've seen all of the Game of Thrones. Like I'm kind of embarrassed to say it, but like maybe like depending on what season, because I've seen seasons 1 through 4 the most, but just because that's when I started like getting into it. But I've seen the whole show at least 7 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I'm not even ashamed. but dude, that's just like it. It's like here I am watching the show 7 times. I love it, and I don't even get an avenue or an outlet to talk about it.
You see, I'm sitting here laughing at you for that when I've seen the Joe Rogan specials 7 times,
dude,
and I'll like break
exactly.
them down and analyze them and try to figure out exactly what he's doing.
Well, dude, I mean, there is a period of time where I wanted to go to film school. I have 1,000 hours of video editing on Adobe Premiere. I did a lot of video editing, made a documentary in college over my grandpa who was at Normandy, and his son coincidentally died in Vietnam at Quang Tri.
Wow.
So and it was just like a deal, and it was ironically my grandpa did not want his son to go to war.
Yeah.
It was like literally, and he said this on camera, and I couldn't believe it. But he's like, "Yeah, I was trying to convince him to go to Canada, and he didn't even get drafted. He enlisted. Wanted to be like his dad.
Man,
I know, dude. So that's a fascinating topic to do a documentary on. My grandpa's since passed away, so that's why I got to do it. I actually have the little tapes that I use to record it. I don't have a camera to get them onto my computer though. I need to get that done because I want to re-edit a different documentary on it. Because at the time I didn't have that 1,000 hours of video editing. I got a lot of editing through that project and just other projects I did with the Arkansas Digital History Institute. And the K through 12 initiative.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah. So, but man, I just like I really wanted to go to film school at one point. Just because I had a passion for doing stuff like that. And this is cool because now, like, I play music, but I never really got into, like, too heavily into audio production or anything. Like I was there for a while. I was single and lived in an apartment. And I had a roommate, but he was a bro, and he was hardly he was hardly there when I was there. We had different hours.
Yeah.
We were both going to school, and like he worked in the evenings. So like I'd play and record through my headphones and stuff, and then like got a different apartment. Corey and I moved in together, and just like I couldn't play like I wanted to at the apartment because of where we were at, and so. But now I have this room across the hall. Music studio, full drum kits, full stack bass amp, got my record player, amps, guitars, everything in there, so I can, and like I've got a whole other mixer and a whole other place to jack my Mac into to record, and that's what we did when we recorded that lead-ins for the podcast with Derek.
That's really cool. I didn't realize you had your hand in so many pots.
I know, dude. It sucks, bro. But like, it only sucks right now. It's gonna stop sucking when I'm like 50. I'm sure.
Right.
But that's just it. Like, I've only been doing. I will probably end up being a 12-year black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I've only been training since 06. December of 06 is when I started. So we're here in 2018. So this is my 11th, 12th year of doing what we do. But it's just like it takes 8, 10, 11 years to earn a PhD.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm looking about maybe going back to get my PhD, I can actually get half-price tuition since I'm working for a U of A location.
Yeah.
So I've considered doing that. I would like to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know when I'm going to do it. And when I do finally get out there and do it, it's going to take me like 3 or 4 years minimum doing it, you know, piecemeal, like I'll have to do it.
Dude, I wish I had found comedy sooner, because if I had, because my goal is to have comedy be my main source of income, and then use that to like study psychology, or look at something in philosophy, or look up and just learn.
Dude, that's how I got to tell Cora all the time. Like, for me, because I had that going on with martial arts. And it took me, dude, a long time. Like I've been doing this part of it the whole time I've been back in school. Mm-hmm. So like about the time I went back to college, Caleb's gym, Inferno, which is now Northwest, he has 3 locations, Northwest Arkansas, more students than anyone in the state, bigger location than anyone in the state. He has like 800 students or something between 3 locations. Wow. And like his main location, I want to say is like 500 or something or more. Yeah. But they moved up to Northwest Arkansas, so it's like, and then after that, shortly after that, closed the Clarksville gym that they had started off in, that we kept open, closed it down. Yeah. So it's like, that's when I kind of moved up here and started like running my own program, because it was either move up there, which I just started back to school, so it's like I was committed to that direction. Mm-hmm. It's like, or you can just do your own thing, and we'll totally support you. And you know, his coach, who's now like I'm around more than anybody, and it's like actually performed Corey and I's wedding ceremony. It's like you know, they just supported me. And then when Corey and I got together, because I was doing this before she and I got together, and then she didn't train for the first couple of years. Yeah, and then I think she's been training 6 years now. But she got super involved, and you know, fought and competed all over Florida, all the way to California. So,
yeah, I saw that she last year switched over to. Wasn't last year her first MMA fight?
She had a fight on Legacy, which she lost a decision. I didn't see the judges' scorecards, but it was like they had a game plan. I mean, the girl we fought, her name was like Victoria Leonardo. Mm-hmm. She had like, I want to say 7 or 8 MMA fights and 3 kickboxing fights. Yeah. And Cora's undefeated. Has had 5 kickboxing fights. Yeah. Done tons of jiu-jitsu. He's a purple belt. Competed in Worlds, Pans. Yeah. Done very well. Submitted a Pan American champion in a sub-only match. So she had a pedigree, and it was like it was an even match. But like they go out and start banging, and Cora was thumping her in the striking. This girl would just like literally eat the shots, press her against the cage, and didn't even try and take her down. Yeah. Like maybe one time in the first round, and then like I kind of was talking shit to the girl in the 3rd round, because it's like it literally was like it was the first fight of the night, or the second fight, I think. Yeah. So they only did like 3 amateur fights on the card. It was Cora's debut on Legacy, so it's like it was a good fight. But this girl's just leaning on her in the third round. I was like, hey, Cora, this girl, I was like, don't get frustrated. This girl won't fight you.
Yeah.
She knows what it's like to get, I just started talking shit. Like, because right there, like from me to you. And I'm like, she don't want to fight. She's not here to fight.
Yeah.
She's here to bore people. I just was just saying sentences like that. And that girl got like mad and like backed up and went to throw something, like Cora like kicked her in the head or just like hit a straight right and rocked her like weak in the knees, almost dropped her. And then that girl just immediately went back on boom, body clinch. And that was, you know, I mean, it's Cora's first fight. Like working off of the cage is probably what she has the least experience in, other than like, I mean, and we spent a lot of time doing that. We do a lot of working on the wall for MMA.
Yeah.
It's just that was a really good game plan for that girl. But I was just disenchanted that the ref didn't pull him off the wall. It's 3-minute rounds, another thing.
Yeah.
It's not like you got 5 minutes. I bet if it would have been 5 minutes, we would have got some of that. But and that the girl, why pull it off the wall? Because the girl wasn't trying to take downs. Right. It's like if she would have been trying for singles and doubles and going back to strike. Yeah, it was stalling because she didn't want to get hit and didn't want to grapple Cora because she's not on Cora's level on the ground. So it's like, man, it's like a Randy Couture page out of his book, dude. That's what he was doing to Brock Lesnar, and everybody was loving it when he was doing it to Brock Lesnar. Yeah. You know, and then Brock Lesnar TKO'd him, but whatever. You know, you remember when Randy Couture fought James Toney?
No.
So James Toney's like a super legit heavyweight boxer.
Okay.
Like, and he came over to the UFC. Just check it out on your Fight Pass. It's on there. Okay. And then Randy like shoots a single and arm triangles him immediately. Yeah. Like James Toney didn't even touch him, right? And I took Tim, this guy's out here working, took him to Springfield for some fights, and they had James Toney there. Yeah. And James Toney was off to the side, like showing this coach like all these dirty boxing tricks, and I'm just like over here taking notes on my phone, like he pulled an arm to drag, and push the elbow and hit the lead body. Yeah. I mean, he was just showing all these tricks that he used to do when he fought, and this dude has a pedigree with boxing. But yeah, he got like, I think he got paid several $100,000, I believe, to come fight Randy Couture. Yeah. And it's like, and then Randy, it's like, did what the smart person would do. Yeah. Single leg. I want to say he might have thrown like a little kick and then single leg dumped him. Arm choke. It's like, yeah.
Get it to the ground very quickly.
That's why someone has said that Floyd Mayweather had been training MMA for 3 years. Do you think that's true?
I don't think that's true.
I don't either. I think it was just one of those clickbait articles.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it'd be cool if he did. Be smart if he had been. Yeah. Because there's all this talk about him maybe coming to the UFC. Like I heard legit talks. I believe they talked about it on Joe Rogan, but Dana White commented on it a time or two. And yeah, that's one of the articles I read is like that he'd been training MMA for 3 years, and that like they were wanting him to fight in the UFC 3 times, and the third fight be a fight against Conor. It was like maybe the disagreement, or he had to sign a 3-fight contract, and I don't know what the. You know they're going to be negotiating. Well, I say they're going to be negotiating for a while. They did that fight on a 7-month notice with the Floyd-Conor fight.
It's like once they had an agreement, they're like, we're doing it now.
Apparently, Floyd has the power and money to, in a way, and they tested a lot, but I mean, it's just like we said the John Jones things, to take control. He hires out the testing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were talking about that on the Nowitzki episode, I believe. It might have been, what's the dude? Did you watch the dude that's the Bellator commentator on John?
No, I did not.
I gotta go back and watch that one. I can't remember. It was at the last MMA show, and I think Nowitzki was on the one before that. But okay. I want to say they just fired that dude. It's the Bellator.
The Bellator guy?
Oh, but back on this conspiracy thing, I think the Fertitta brothers, because of the uniform deal, the USADA WADA deal, and the sponsorships, the whole Reebok thing, the Fox deal, a lot of people think that killed the sport. Yeah. And I'm not saying that I agree with that, but I think the Fertitta brothers have secretly pushed out Jordan Rebney and bought Bellator.
Oh, I did not.
Mike Goldberg's going to be the commentator for Bellator. How many people like Benson Henderson, Rory freaking McDonald, who really pretty much like ended Robbie Lawler's career in my view. Yeah. It's like, dude, they got into it so hard that Robbie Lawler is not the same anymore, bro. Like that Dos Anjos fight, and he ain't going to be the same after that either. It's like, Robbie Lawler is probably done, in my view. It's like, I don't want to see him fight anymore. Yeah. Like, I saw...
He had the good fight against Cowboy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, he did, but like, yeah, that was a great fight.
Yeah.
3-round war.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't super warish. It was more tamed down in comparison to all of the other fights he's had recently.
Yeah.
But what was it? Woodley beat him, right?
Yeah. Woodley beat him.
But then he had those, 2 fights with McDonald. Is that correct? Or was it just one?
I think it's just one.
I just remembered the blood, dude.
Oh, my God.
I thought they had another fight. I can't remember. I'm not going to
Rory's face afterwards. Like, I remember 2-3 days after that fight, I was in a car just driving, just thinking about that fight. It's one of those fights that happened and you just, it was brutal.
Dude. Then the Cowboy fight and then then him taking that damage from Desanya. So I'm gonna look it up real quick. Because I'm curious. I was thinking about his record the other day, about what that was weird. When I went to Wikipedia, the very first page, I always was a Marilyn Manson album, Hollywood. I remember when that was on TRL when I was a kid. You ever watch TRL with Carson Daly? Total Request Live on MTV, bro. 3:30 right after you got off the bus.
Dude, when MTV was around, I was like watching Nickelodeon.
I know, bro. How old are you?
24.
24, right on. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know how you were. I figured you were in the mid-20s though. But dude, I'll say this: as someone like I didn't get into what I'm doing till I've been running a martial arts gym full time for 6 years.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it full time for 4. I was in graduate school before I was able to be full time.
Yeah.
And like I had to get a surgery, and I kind of used that as a catalyst. And Cora stopped. She was working as a waitress, and probably making better money than anything since.
Yeah.
But she started working for the history department, and then she started running the gym full time with me, and that's what not only my only job is, or thing that I do, other than all the other stuff I want to do.
Right.
That's her only source of income as well. So we're both able to do what we want to do without having to. So it's like, dude, you're talking right now. I mean, I know you have a girlfriend or whatever, but it's like, dude, it's feasible, man.
Yeah.
Like it's not that it was more difficult to integrate Cora into the picture. Cora made the picture more possible, honestly. Yeah. But interesting to me how I've been able to do just literally make a living on everything I want. And I tell people all the time, if you would have asked me 8 years ago, 6 years ago, if this would have been the trajectory, I would not have said yet. I wouldn't even have known.
Yeah.
Talking like 19 years old. No idea. I didn't even go back to school and have any direction in life until I was 23. No direction until I was 23. You're 24. You already arrived. Like, oh, this is what. And dude, I'll say this: like, Cora's been frustrated with me a time or two over the years because, like, dude, I'll change my mind. Mm-hmm. I'll be like, no, I wanted to do that, and I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
But dude, I think there's a lot in that level of honesty. You know, like, because I just like sometimes I'll have an epiphany or realize that something's a waste of energy or it's not what I thought it would be or it's not something I'm passionate about. So I just I cut ties with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a time investment or a monetary investment that people will keep going on being unhappy.
Right.
If it's a student loan or whatever. And I don't think that way. Like, I've never thought that way. I'm like, if I can't do the things that make me happy, even though they might stress me out, and you know, have a life out of that, I'm just not interested. Yeah,
that's exactly how I feel about comedy. Like, and it's scary to think about because, like you said, it is feasible. And I see open micers that are like coming to shows and they're hobbyists. They're like, this is something fun to do on the weekends. And then there's also the people that you see, oh, you're trying to make this your life. You're trying to make this your career, your business, your
industry. You're trying to become an industry,
right? And it's a lot of work. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I see that it's a lot of work, but I see that it's possible. And so it's scary, but it's really, really cool.
Yeah, dude. I totally feel you. Let's check out these Robbie Lawler fights real quick.
Okay.
This is disturbing. This needs to be one of the fighters that gets talked about.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Okay.
When did his career end? It ended on the night Rory McDonald was born.
Yeah, dude, check this out. I'm just going to start right here. The first Rory McDonald win was a split decision at UFC 167.
Okay.
November 16th, 2013. So then we move on to a unanimous decision loss to Johnny Hendricks. I remember that fight.
Yeah.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, was a super close fight, maybe even controversial, but it was a vacant title because Hendricks had just fought GSP, and then GSP is like, nah, I'm out.
Yeah.
Then he TKO'd Jake Ellenberger. Then he beat Matt Brown in a decision, who just annihilated Diego Sanchez in the back of the skull with that elbow. Ugh.
Yeah.
Then he fights Johnny Hendricks again, beats him split decision. So that's 2 fights with Hendricks, Matt Brown and Jake Ellenberger, and Rory McDonald. That's 5 fights. That's UFC 167 to UFC 181.
Yeah.
Then he fights Rory McDonald again and TKOs him, and
that's the one. Yeah,
TKO'd him in the 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. No, at the 5th round. Oh
yes,
yeah, because it was the last round.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me double check. Was it the 5th? Yes, 1 minute into the 5th round. So TKOs McDonald, then wins a split decision over Carlos Condit. That was probably Condit's last fight. No, he might have fought Damian Maia between the other night. We lost to Neil Magny.
I know he'd been out for a while.
Yeah, 16 months, I think they said. Then he gets knocked out by Woodley. That's coming off of his last 3 fights before that were Hendricks, McDonald, and Condit, and they were. Well, Lawler had a pretty big gap. Well, the 6 months, and then another 6 months. So those 3 fights were in an 18-month span. Then he loses to Woodley, July 30th, 2016. Then he beats Cerrone. A year later, July 29th, 2017. So 1 year off. Man, that's some time. I didn't realize he had been running back in the UFC that long. Dude, I remember a classic fight is Robbie Lawler versus Nick Diaz. That's at UFC 47, bro. I have that on DVD. Nick Diaz knocks him out. 2004. Wow.
You've got it on DVD.
I got it on DVD, bro. It's actually in that closet right there in my DVD. I got all these cases with DVDs in them, and one of them is like all UFC DVDs. Because I got like Ultimate Fighter Season 1 on DVD and stuff like that. Now it's all digital, dude. I can watch all the EBIs, all the Ultimate Fighters, Fight Nights. But I wonder what they're going to do. A lot of the UFC on Foxes aren't on Fight Pass.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they're going to be able to buy that library out since the Fox deal's over. Because that's what they did with Pride.
Yeah.
And in like a lot of times I have a fighter's contract, and you get like Jungle Fights, Pride, whatever the other organization they fight. Like Anderson Silva, his whole career, I believe every fight he's ever been in is on Fight Pass.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, dude. Well, man, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Go ahead and give the audience a plug on your social media. Anything else you got coming up?
Yeah, I'll be in Durant, Oklahoma, sometime next month. I'll be in Miami on March 14th to the 17th. You can see all this stuff at all my social media stuff. It's at Bair the Comic, spelt like my name. So BAIR.
Which I never knew until that one time I saw it on paper.
Yep.
Thought it was BAR.
Yeah, but it's at Bair the Comic. That's my Instagram, Twitter. I have a Facebook page. You can see all my dates there.
Cool. Yeah, man. Well, dude, it's funny when you commented. I was like, dude, you just need to come on, bro. I would love to have you on because I want to have, like, that's the thing. Like, I want to have normal people on, too. Don't get me wrong, even though, like, I really have no normal guests on the guest list. Everybody is, like, super cool in some way to me. I mean, but, it's like I'm going to have an assortment of professors. A guy coming in today, like, we're riffing on music. But, dude, he's an English professor. He writes songs. He goes to concerts. He's an academic and a romantic and teaches creative writing and all this stuff, man. And like, I love sitting down and having conversations with him.
Yeah.
It's like a bonus. Like, another thing is, like, I feel I have to be able to have, like, a close circle of friends in, or I have guests I have on all the time. And, dude, it's just going to plot that evolution. It's like, who knew when Brendan Schwab was sitting on Joe Rogan's podcast after that last knockout where Joe's like, hey, let's talk about how you need to get out of there. How you really think that? In Brendan Schwab's face, dude. Yeah. I just watched that on YouTube the other day. I rewatched it, and it just he kept doing the same face. Like tilt his head to the side, like drop his mouth a little more, and like Joe Rogan just roasting him. But like, dude, he's just doing that because he loved him.
Yeah.
And but it's interesting to that. to Fighter and the Kid, which I don't think he was on Fighter and the Kid at that time. Then to move on. I mean, because, dude, Brendan Schaub started in the NFL. Goes to Ultimate Fighter Season 10, ends up having a decent career in MMA, then has one of the most successful podcasts.
Yeah.
And is now successful as a stand-up comedian. And, dude, to me, that's the American dream, bro. Exactly what we just talked about the last 20 minutes. It's like everybody wants to do. I said this to somebody the other day. I think it was Cora. It's like everybody at some point in their life thinks that they're special. I think. Like, I remember growing up thinking, I still think it. You know, not arrogantly or anything. I think that you're different than everybody else. You are different than everybody else. But then I think, too, at some point, due to the grind of life or how you perceive the model to be, or like I've made really harsh judgments or decisions in life based off of like comments people made to me. Like, they were like, oh, I'm going to start thinking that way. And then come to find out it wasn't a way I even wanted to think. I don't think that way anymore. Yeah. You know, and a lot of it's to do with martial arts. It's like, you know, like I tell people, I told somebody this today. I was doing a private lesson. The guy's like, I used to like not like Eddie Bravo. And then I was like now, dude, I'm a huge Eddie fan. Yeah. And I don't know why I was an Eddie Bravo fan, but I suspect that somebody close to me talked shit about him. That and his book introductions are a little hard. I don't know if you ever read them to get through. They're funny because he's talking about all the stuff I'm talking about. It's like, man, I play music. I was in this metal band. And don't forget I smoke weed. I'm going to have 3 pages about it. And my girlfriend over here. And he's just giving his bio. Yeah. And like at the time, I don't know. I had the feeling that he's like not like, kind of like douchey or whatever. And like I used to not like that his names were all different than our names on techniques and stuff. And now I'm like, dude, I accept like and call a lot of moves like with rubber guard. It's like no one else has that. Right. Like that's a system, and it's actually beneficial now as we've been doing rubber guard in class that there are terms. Yeah. Because those terms don't exist anywhere else. Right. Because he invented them. Yeah. I don't have any names. I call things like on some of the subs. But still, all the subs he does are pretty much so unique. And at the time, earlier when I was consuming, I didn't pick up that like he's naming. I remember not knowing who Gokar Shavichin was. This is like badass, like Ronda Rousey trained with him back in the day. Yeah, when she first started getting going. But he's this badass. I think he's from Czechoslovakia or something. Yeah. Like, but he's a leg lock specialist. And there's a technique in one of Eddie Bravo's books called the Gokar or the Goker. And I'm like, what's a Goker? The gangster's lean, monkey mouth. Like, but dude, honestly,
but didn't he name all of his moves from when he was teaching? Wasn't he trying to like do things that the students would remember the move to?
Exactly. And two, the double benefit of that is it's like anchor points for memory. A lot of times they don't exist in other systems. Therefore, when you're coaching your guys, if they're not a 10th planet person, like there is funny, I used to just do, and I still do, just do high guard. And I was in a tournament one time, and I like was pulling my leg down, kind of like mission control and rubber guard. Yeah. And this guy was like, hey, he's trying that rubber guard. He's going to go to the crackhead. And I'm like, dude, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like at the time I didn't. This is like 3 years ago in a tournament. I want to say I might have been a brown belt, but it could have been a purple belt. Yeah. But I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Oh, yeah, I'm not doing that, man. You're acting like I am, so I'm going to do something else. I don't know what we're doing, though. Yeah. I don't know what you were telling him, and he thinks it was just like all this big – because I was, like, not running. And that happened to me in 2 tournaments. One was an affiliate tournament, so it was, like, lower key. And I was just, like, literally, like, I'm not doing that stuff to this dude that, like, talks a lot during matches. Yeah. But anyway, it's fascinating to how, like, I really like Eddie Bravo, but – that evolution happened because I evolved, you know? Yeah. Like I think that too, you're probably at a pivotal point. I've been on this idea that like around like, so it's like 23, 24 years old for me when I really turned a corner and I was like, this is what I am. This is who I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to do. I have confidence in chasing this. And I've heard scientists say it's when your prefrontal cortex is completely formed. That's why they say not to do like hardcore drugs before you're, you know, like when you're 19 and stuff. Yeah, it could mess up your mental trajectory, psychologically speaking, I guess. But fascinating to me how rewarding it is to be able to do the things you love.
Yeah.
Because,
For me,
even though
there's-
it's stressful at times.
Yeah. I mean, it is. But for me, why else would we be here?
Exactly.
Like,
But I think everybody's, not everybody, so many people surrender that idea that they're not special or different. Like,
Yeah.
I really think, like, life grinds you down. People making comments grind you down, and you don't see yourself as special anymore at a certain point. Or you go get your engineering degree, and you go be a good little engineer at the nuclear plant. You work those overtime hours, and you don't do anything else. You just do this. Do what TV or whatever tells you is the traditional model. That's why I think it's so beneficial. You and I don't have TV, and we can really moderate and get commentary and pick and choose a lot better. I mean, just things like commercials, or like I was saying, like I have the news ads on my phone turned off to where I don't get them when I click the home screen.
Yeah.
But still on Facebook, dude, you click that search bar, Korea.
Yeah.
It's depressing. Are you still in the military right now?
No, I got out. My contract ended, and commander asked me if I wanted to re-enlist, and I was like, no.
Dude, look at you, man. So, like, you're about to finish college, engineering degree.
Yeah.
Mechanical?
Mechanical.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm getting the associates in nuclear technology.
That my cousin did the same thing, man.
Yeah. And I'll probably never use it.
Hey, well, I mean,
The goal is to never use it.
you know what? I always kind of told myself stuff like this, like the John Jones back door. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, if this whole martial arts school owner thing doesn't work out, I have this degree. I could be da-da-da-da. Which now I'm just like, I'm like, well, I'm always wanted to teach history, and now I'm going to do that on the side.
Right.
And, I've made my schedule in such a way at the gym where that's really, I teach it one class at 8 a.m. Tuesday, Thursday mornings.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I use my engineering degree. I just don't use it for professionally. I use it when I'm like, because I invented a type of decoy that swims.
Oh, nice.
And so, one of my buddies helped me, but like that's what I use my engineering degree for. Stuff like that will help me
you probably
in my life.
love duck hunting, right?
Right, I love duck hunting.
So, dude, I gotta introduce you to my buddy Maverick. Have you ever heard of Dunn Calling?
Yeah, I've got a dun call.
Yeah, that's Maverick Dunn, bro. We had our very first fight on the same card and trained together. He was my training partner.
Really?
Kickboxing, Maverick Dunn.
Did not know that.
His real name's Charles.
Charles.
Don't tell him I said that, but
Yeah.
he didn't hear from me.
Yeah.
But how cool of a name is Maverick? Like when he was a kid, he's just like, no, I love Top Gun, and you're going to call me Maverick. And he wouldn't answer anything
How
else.
cool would it have been if he was Maverick before Top Gun? Like he just
Bragging rights.
Yeah.
This came up on the podcast the other day. Val Kilmer, such an attractive man like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But now he has tongue cancer, bro.
Tongue cancer?
Yeah. Major bummer. Like, because there's some Val Kilmer movies, not Batman Forever, that I really enjoy, like Thunderheart. That's an awesome movie. And I think in like 04 or something, he had a movie, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, maybe 06, with Robert Downey Jr. It was like right after Robert Downey Jr. got out of prison, I believe, or jail or whatever for the cocaine episode he went through.
Yeah.
But anyway. Well, dude, keep doing your thing, man. Thanks for coming on the podcast. Got to have you back.
Appreciate it. Hell yeah.
Dude,
Anytime you want me. This is fun. I had a blast.
Well, you're going to be around all semester, yeah?
Yeah.
Right on, dude.
I live 6 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on, man. We'll definitely have you back. Keep us posted on your career. Follow @Bear the Comic on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Yep.
All right, man. Are you going to have a website up anytime soon?
Not anytime soon.
I'll let you know how the Squarespace when I'm building for the podcast works. It's like I got future evolutions, and I send the digital recorder.
Yeah.
I eventually may do lives. I don't know. I really need a producer. I feel like to be able to do lives because it becomes too much to track. I can't hit a TriCaster and take notes on when I need to make edits
and still be in the
I
conversation.
have my mixer on the table, so, but it'll be nice. I'm going to bring another chair in. I'm eventually going to be able to do 4 spots, and but for right now, this chair here with all these cables and lighting on it is going to be at the end of the table. That way, I could have somebody doing producing if I wanted to. So, well, right on, dude. Well, thanks for coming by, man, and I guess we'll talk to you soon, my bro.
All right. Thanks, man.
All right, you guys take it easy.